So I think we only need this one and that one. Hello?
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 Oh?
Alright, yeah, no, we're good.
Hello.
What's up?
Yeah, so our audios did work. Oh man, my camera looks really choppy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna be so upset with myself if I close out of all the chapters. I had brought them up just for this specific thing. Then I almost closed all of them. Okay.
Oh no.
Also, hey Phobos, how's it going? How are you? And Del. And Kent. I guess Kent. Kent's been here before the stream even started. What a weirdo.
He's got no life.
No life. No life.
No life.
At everyone, listen. We hear Sonic time. We hear Sonic time. I also did this. That's true. You took all the first seconds and now the thirds.
No!
Wow.
Rude.
Wow. Someone ban him.
God,
Yeah,
the pupil has become the master. I'll never.
And
be
I even had
good.
room for seconds.
Guys, look, I made chili dogs today. Can't see them. My partner put the
I did
cheese
too.
under the chili. So did Heather.
I didn't have any cheese actually. 'cause
I
it
like
didn't
cheese
buy
on my
any.
chili. I don't
Yeah.
like hot dogs. And I don't like hot dogs. So it's a little bit of a torture here for me.
Lemon chili.
We went all out. I also made chili fries.
You know, I'm gonna grab a bundle of grapes.
Man, I want
I have
fucking
a
grapes.
You
smoothie.
nerd.
Hi, I'm Mel.
Character wow.
Hi, nerd. I'm Mel.
Knuckles' favorite food
Knuckles' favorite food is what? Grapes?
is grapes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember reading it in the Sega Genesis instruction manual for Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's
in the movie too.
neat. I didn't see the movie. I wanted to, didn't see it.
We have to change that.
No.
Do we?
Wait, you haven't seen the movies?
Yeah.
I've seen the first movie. I remember the heated
They're
debate
pretty-
of how
yeah.
they should like go
Yeah,
back and
they're
fix their shit on that
good.
Sonic, and I was like, yeah, rightfully so.
They
I'm
should.
glad that the people of the fans let that be a thing. The people of the fans.
There's 3 movies now.
Mhm.
Really?
You're behind. Yes.
The second one had
watch
Knuckles.
those
Right.
The third one had Shadow, played by Keanu Reeves.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm inviting you to watch them with me.
No. No.
How deny?
How do I add stuff to
weep.
this? I guess I could just go this one. Yeah. All right.
The third movie is the only reason why I know who Maria is.
Maria.
Maria.
Okay, so good news.
Good news, everybody. Yes.
Good news. I gotta mute myself. Hold on. Wait. I gotta mute.
Why?
Hold on. What? Wait.
Where'd she go?
What?
Where'd she go?
Somewhere
No, I'm here.
over the rainbow.
But I was hearing my stream, so my brain was like, "What? Where's that coming from?" Because it's muted. But I guess it wasn't
you know what
muted.
I unmuted it for a second, and I'm sharing my Google Chrome. It's a different browser,
right.
but it shares it universally.
Checks
I
out.
guess.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. So we're reading the fanfic, "The Prince's Knight" by Luna Misaki. Huh? I think that's what I'm saying, right? We have a total of 6 chapters done for reading. I don't think we'll get to the 6th chapter, but if we do, you guys get to hear Dubless talk as Amy Rose. We're here for it.
I don't remember what Amy sounds like.
It's
Sounds
what
like-
like I'm not even gonna sound as Sonic. I've been trying like
Cool, twang.
while I'm
Just-
sewing,
just
my
use your
brain's
girl
like,
voice, all right?
yeah. I was just saying I'm gonna say fuck it and
Just
just use
talk
my
like
voice.
your girl.
Just talk like
You're
I'm a
right.
girl.
Just talk like your girl. I don't know how difficult that is.
Girl.
Pretend that you're Aaron from the Game Grumps and you're using your pretty girl voice.
Okay, hold on. This is gonna be messy.
Jesus.
Jesus, yeah,
Jesus.
exactly, Mel.
Jesus.
Sorry, but it didn't end up being the way I thought it would. So Mel lucked out, missed shot.
Oh.
Listen, it was brought up by Heather and Dublest dibs Shadow, and that's how that went down.
I texted him Shadow first, remember?
No,
Oh, you did?
When I bought him the Dean voice. Do you remember?
Yes,
I'm
I
down to
remember what you're
swap.
talking
Yeah.
about, but because Dublest and I had the idea simultaneously, Dublest got dibs.
yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. But I did dibs ahead. But
Well, this was
you did
before.
tell me yes.
This was before my brain even processed what I was doing. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right. You should have gotten Shadow.
No, I'm fine with it now. I'm fine with my pick, my choices. But I did technically get dibs.
Mel's Shadow. Hold on. Quickly, give me a Shadow voice.
Quickly, give me a Shadow voice. I said I was gonna use the Dean one. Remember?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember. I was sitting sewing a duvet.
If there's an Eggman voice, you gotta be Eggman, is what Kent said, Mel.
I gotta be Eggman? Heck no. Actually, there's probably a voice for that on here.
Is there even an Eggman in here?
I don't know.
No,
I haven't
'cause
gotten that
he
far.
Well, then again, I don't know.
I,
Want to hear Mel Eggman?
Could I pinged you, by the way?
okay. I heard it.
That's terrifying.
What was that?
It keeps coming in and out, Mel, so it keeps cutting.
Oh, it's probably because my microphone is flipped upside down. Oh, this
You
dog.
can't. Oh, man.
Sound.
Sounds like you're eating it.
Oh, no. Oh,
Not
it's,
the,
can I
the
get some
cursed
napkins?
laugh with the voice.
More chili?
No.
Are you sure you want more chili?
Yeah.
It looks like you used
Give it the
more
goddamn
I
chili.
don't. I don't need this right now.
It's like I made yours specifically because you had to touch a keyboard.
Hi,
That's
Jester.
crazy.
They say hi. He's giving me shit because I
Dang.
wanted more chili.
Just
I said they, yeah, because I don't know who said hi. I was
give
just
no
listening.
chili. Just Jerusalem.
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah, so this was gonna be my shy voice originally.
Why is this voice mod so much louder than your normal voice?
Yeah, right?
Because I'm using
Yeah.
because I have to eventually voice mod gets a crackly like thing and I have to like reset it. I don't know why. For some reason voice mod and my interface don't agree. That happens for my stream too. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm this when I'm talking regular is it's my direct interface.
I feel so bad. I forgot about Dylan. Thank you for bringing that up, though. Do blessed.
Well, I need to. Well, what? I don't know what the plan is.
No. I told him. I was like,
Oh,
man,
okay.
I forgot to give you a voice. I am sorry.
I mean, he can have Amy if he wants.
But then I'd have to readjust the frames I have and
time.
stuff because we'd have to bring him in.
Oh, yeah,
like if
that's
we
Is there
if
characters who join later in the besides Amy? Because that's like the last chapter we're on, right? Like the.
well, so technically I'm supposed to be reading 16 chapters or 18 chapters.
16.
16.
Del,
Yeah.
do you
Jeez.
know any humans who are adults and just dog ears?
We're done.
Can you explain?
No, 16
that?
chapters. It's 16 chapters. Someone donated 100 after the event was over. But there was a total of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Lost
6,
count.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 characters. If I take out me narrating, he could probably be another character. I mean, not. If I take out me playing Sonic and someone else picks up Sonic, there could be another
He can play
character to read
Sonic,
for.
right?
Well, he could if he
don't
wants
wanna
to
go
read a
Sonic.
lot, but like he's a teacher, so I feel bad making him read a lot.
Did you want me to do Sonic?
But his voice is not used to it.
This is doing what now?
But again, that I'd have to change the setup, and I don't have time to change the setup because this is I hardwired all this. The only thing that's editable is the images that you guys choose to be, and that's because you choose
Fair.
them.
I mean, we can always
I get it.
revisit after this as well. If
Yeah.
no,
If
no
we do
pressure.
another stream after this, because I doubt we're gonna even get to chapter 6, to be honest. Right?
Sure.
How
So if you
dare
guys wanna-
doubt our prowess?
So if you guys, we're already what 30 minutes in, and we haven't even started reading a chapter.
Hi, I'm Melody.
First chapter is, I think, 15 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I.
14.
Are we almost done? Are we gonna?
Wait,
I'm
is this
blank.
where I'm supposed to say something? Just kidding.
I don't know.
Or
I
just
don't
saying
know
hi?
what the plan is.
I'll be right back. I finished my food.
Oh man, I barely even
While we were
finished mine.
talking.
Right. Well, I'll
Wait,
do the
is Heather
introductions, and I'll
stands
do Heather last. Oop, no, whoop. That was good. I like that. Solid. Good choice.
Your
Whoop.
books have pretty pictures, Phobos.
Says the guy who has giant bookshelves full of books. You don't know how to read? Okay, so today we are reading a fanfic written by Luna Misaki titled The Prince's Knight. It's based loosely on Sonic the Hedgehog series of what's that game called? The Black
Sonic
Knight.
and the Black Knight.
Yeah. Sonic and the Black Knight. And we have Mel playing or voicing for Rogue, Cream, and Queen Alina. We have Heather doing Tails and Silver / Galahad.
Hi, fam.
What the
Fuck is on the outside of my bottle?
I don't know. And we have our boy Dublest here playing Amy Rose and Shadow / Lancelot. It's the first thing on the list. The way I have it written. And then we have Rain, who's voicing Maria, and Blaze /
Maria.
Parsival. And then we got
Oh.
our BBW here playing as random odd voices like guards or other characters that have no names. And as well as Knuckles /
Let me do a face reveal
Gawain.
real quick.
Oh,
There we go.
not allowed. Oh, shit. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's pretty cool.
All right, we're good.
By 4 cartoon animals and 2 human women's. I'm kind of worried I'm going to drop
That
this
you
chili
know
somehow.
of.
Oh.
Okay, I'm pumped.
We good? We
Are you
ready?
ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. It was a bad idea to have chili dogs while streaming, I think, because it's messy. I made
Dude,
my
I broke
torso.
out the fork and knife because I wasn't gonna chance it.
I got a
know,
spoon.
It's not ethical, but
I got a spoon. That's it. I got a spoon.
I'm not a furry.
I could get up and get other stuff.
wait, what?
Thanks for
Would
specifying.
you like to join us?
Can...
Look, the only reason I'm still here is because I get to see 2 faces of a human women's. All right, I, as the narrator and Sonic, will be reading a bit.
A bit.
A bit.
Okay.
So first chapter is kind of long. We're gonna take a break after every chapter, just so people can get extra water or stuff. I don't know how they feel about reading a lot, but here we are. Altea Kingdom, also known as the Land of the Wind and Sky. It was a beautiful country filled with dozens of fields, flowers, rolling hills. Oh, and rolling hills. There were ample farms and villages filled with the hustle and bustle of townspeople bargaining and bartering their wares. But there were also many beautiful cities with gorgeous houses and banners that flowed freely through the breeze, proudly sporting the gentle green and gold flag of the country, centered with a flower in the middle. In ways, Altea was idyllic, but not every country was perfect. The poor still suffered, and the rich coveted their wealth, but the monarchy tried their best to aid where they could. At least the queen did. Her only son, Sonic, had remained absent through his entire childhood, bar one viewing of him in public as a young child. He seemed like a sweet boy with bright azure hair and jade green eyes that shone like jewels in the sun. The event had been garden party. I'm sorry, the chickens out. The chickens got me. The jewels in the sun. The event had been a garden party for the nobles, which Shadow Robotnik had attended when he was small, in which he had unfortunate experience of meeting said young prince in person. Is background audio good? That's a good choice.
I was asking the chat.
Yeah, I know, and I'm answering and questioning
Sorry.
as well. Hey, you're a hedgehog too, right? Shadow turned to shorter boy who was staring back at him with a confident smile. He'd only walked away from his grandfather and Maria for just a moment, and yet he'd found himself cornered by a younger blue hedgehog, dressed in green jacket that matched the color of his eyes, decorated with golden trim. You look strong. You better become a knight one day so I can fight you. He couldn't believe his ears. The audacity of this young boy so brazenly challenged him out in the open at a formal event. He really had no decorum.
I don't need to be a knight to best lowly scraps such as yourself.
He didn't seem to be dressed in anything special at first, but then he first felt his stomach drop once, noticing a golden circlet atop his head, encrusted with jewels Shadow had never seen in person before. Instead of offense, however, the boy laughed back at him, and his head tilted his head, the gem shining in the sun and complimenting his deep green eyes. "You're funny." He beamed back at him, and Shadow felt his eyes had widened at the sight. Instead of, well, this kid, no longer than 5, had truly impressed the 7-year-old Shadow. Well, shh. Shh. I looked away and went back and, like, screwed myself over. Well, if I'm the lowly Scrap, Sonic continued before walking up to Shadow and furiously grabbing his hand, making Shadow flinch in shock, then you better be super prepared to beat me when you become knight. I'm gonna be the hero of Atia. My powers of the wind are gonna save everyone. The loud declaration had members of the party turn their heads to the boys in the moment, and whispers of Robotnik fraternizing with the Crown Prince were flowing through the air. Plus, the prince's loud declarations of grandeur. What decorum was that for the prince? The queen had arrived not too soon after, quickly pulling Sonic away and scolding him for causing a scene in front of the guest. But Sonic didn't seem that bothered. Instead, the boy turned his head, waved to Shadow, and as he picked up and carried off by the queen. Ooh, added words. "Red and Black Hedgehog, my name is Sonic, Prince of Altea. When I grow up, come and fight me. You look super strong." Sorry, I'm going to pause for a second. I realize that I'm skipping things, but that's because I feel like the descriptors don't need to be read between when you guys talk and when I need to narrate again.
That's fine.
Does that make
That's
sense?
fine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Solid.
I'd understand, but continue.
Ah, right. Never before had he met a child so fearless or so bold, so arrogant. He seethed with anger at the attention and forced upon Shadow at the party, and all of the stares that the Robotniks gained. Okay, their house had been contested for a while due to the one disturbing family member, and Gerald had adopted Shadow in hopes of proving his family's loyalty to Atios as means of damage control. In fact, Shadow had been pushed to be a knight to earn back the family's honor and trust within the nobles once more. The garden party had been his own debut in a way. Another side note, I have never read this. I just highlighted words in hopes that it was correct. So, I'm just as surprised as the story unfolds. It's good shit. Picking a fight with the Crown Prince in the day of his formal introduction, nobility had not been his smartest decision. But Shadow was an impulsive child who did not socialize often, bar speaking with his sister Maria, so his filter had yet to develop. Plus, the prince had been arrogant whelp, picking a fight with a kid 2 years older than him. What kinds of things were they teaching him as a future king of the country? To have an impulsive, cocky, and brazen man as a king, Shadow held back a visible shiver. Yet despite it all, he still focused on his tension towards becoming the best knight on the guards, climbing the ranks until he was head of the elite. He was actually approaching promotion to ascend to the Royal Knights of the Round Table, an elite force of esteemed knights chosen for the monarchy. Before him, only 3 other members had been admitted. Lord Percival, Sir Gawain, Sir Galahad, Shadow was the 4th, with the little Sir, or title Sir Lancelot. Percival had been the first appointed, reaching the rank of 21 due to her incredible abilities with both swords, fire, and magic. Gawain was 2nd, and for his use of raw strength and talent in close combat at the age of 20. Galahad joined at 18, fresh out of training, climbing the ranks due to accommodations from Percival herself and his increasing skills with telekinetic abilities. Shadow was the firm middle, joining at 19 due to his exceptional swordsmanship skills, chaos control ability, although his strength had initially posed him as a threat to the others due to his family name. He dare say He would have joined even younger if not for this bias, but he thanked the stars he was ever allowed to join. For when you were a part of the Round Table, you were given special royal task as a guard. The Queen on travels go on the quest to quell overseas affairs and engage the prince in training matches without running the risk of being charged with regicide. Shadow was more than ready to finally humiliate the egotistical prince. He couldn't wait to be actively encouraged to beat him. Footsteps echoed throughout the hallway as Miles opened the doorway to a large entrance, knocking a few times before walking in on instinct. It had always been a formality with his proverbial older brother rather than an actual requirement, humming as his tail swayed behind him.
Sonic, I finally got approval for those blueprint plans. Want to come to the workshop with me? Sonic?
Oh,
Miles, do you want me to read all of those descriptions?
No, I'm just.
It's really good.
You lost? We're on page. Sorry, I don't. It was just like. Am I supposed to say something? Oh. Okay.
All right, I'll try that again.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it again? All right, cool.
Sonic, I finally got approval for those blueprint plans. Want to come to the workshop with me?
He called cheerfully, only to pause in surprise when there was no answer. His smile slowly fell to a frown as he continued to venture around the large room.
Sonic?
He called again as he checked the bed for any potential sleeping hedgehogs. Still no sign of him. Weird. Miles glanced over to the window and his ears twitched as the open breeze flowing into the room and the fluttering of the spare bedsheets that had been tied around the middle pillar of the window.
He ran off again.
Miles sighed in defeat, ears lowering as he debated telling Queen Alina. As kind and carefree as the prince was, he had a nasty habit of running away to sneak off into town as of late. He couldn't really blame him. The prince had been sheltered in the castle his entire life. Apparently, it had been due to a seer prophesying a disaster in the future surrounding the prince leaving the castle before his 18th birthday.
For the one with eyes of jade and quills of blue, the world shall start anew, lest he meet his untimely end. On his 18th summer, his powers shall mend. Land of wind and sky, heed this call, for the kingdom Altea shall fall. Sonic had never been much for superstitions, but the queen had been more cautious. That's why not many people had actually seen the prince, bar his close friends, the maids in charge of his wing of the castle, and the knights of the Round Table. And frankly, Miles could understand how anyone could find it stifling, yet alone his restless prince brother.
I hope he remembered his disguise at least,
Miles mumbled thoughtfully with worry.
He's getting awfully reckless as of late.
He tilted his head in thought. The queen had asked the fox to report when Sonic's behavior was edging on danger. This is a fan fiction. He was starting to think maybe now was the right time.
Forgive me, Sonic, but you could have at least told me about this one.
Miles sighed in defeat. He could only hope Sonic would be too mad at him for snitching to the queen.
Look who finally shows. Sir Lancelot in the flesh. Ruth smiled as she welcomed into her tavern, the Diamond Bar. It was a beautiful establishment decorated with fine silks uncommon in the outskirts of Altea, and the softest pillows made of feather down. It was where a lot of knights came to drink and unwind after a day's work training, even the 4 royal guards.
Shadow sighed and removed his helmet as he walked in, inclining his head politely to the white bat. You don't have to announce the new title so loudly.
Nonsense. My best friend just became a royal lapdog. I have to let everyone know the aggressive Shadow Robotnik now has a pretty little royal leash attached. She winked at him, while Shadow silently fumed at her words. Only Rouge would dare say such things. They'd been friends for as long as he could remember, although he never actually admitted.
Watch your words, Rouge. Gawain snapped from his side on the table, making the knight's presence known in the corner of the tavern.
Aw, don't take it personally. I like a man with a leash. Rouge
Jesus.
Jesus. Jesus.
Oh, I'm gonna do that again.
Aw, don't take it personally. I like a man with a leash. Rouge teased back, earning a flustered expression and sputtering from the Red Knight.
Sorry, Rain.
Who had been sitting next to Gwaine, sighed and put down her glass of wine. I fear we will be off topic before we even begin discussing it, she said back calmly. Dispersing the awkward energy in the air in mere moments.
Shadow had to admire her talents and maturity. She really showed in her actions how she had become first knight of the Round Table.
I am in agreement. Shadow nodded before walking over to the group, sitting down on the free seat across from the pair, glancing to the other spare seat and raising an eyebrow. Is Galahad not joining us?
Silver is on prince duty, Percival responded back.
He's out on the loose again, Gawain growled in annoyance. He's too fast to catch, and he's been out since this morning. I feel sorry for Galahad having to find him.
Shadow let out a small hum, but internally he was laughing in amusement. He had been told the shut-in prince was secretly a chronic runaway. Guess those rumors were true.
He'll show up in the end. Percival nodded before leaning forward to take another sip of her wine. All of the knights had been charged with watching the prince before, and with Percival being the one who had spent the longest around Sonic, she knew it was pointless to find him. Whenever Gawain questioned her lack of concern, she simply said, "You fought him before. Our prince is capable of defending himself."
Gawain
couldn't
couldn't
argue.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Mine. Gawain couldn't argue. It made Shadow envious to know these knights had personally fought and lost Sonic and Shadow's mind's race. He wanted to know just how strong the prince really had grown. It was a stupid one, and he doubted Sonic ever remembered his challenge to him, but his stubborn pride couldn't allow the insult to his character. He needed to fight the prince, no matter what.
Regardless, shall we get to the important matters? Blaze asked, back lightly against her glass. "One for Lancelot, please," she asked Rouge as the white bat smiled.
Mel.
Sorry, I read that and I was muted. I read that.
I'm like,
I read that. I put my ass in that shit too. Okay, anyway. Of course, I have a fine vino just for the celebration. Rouge smiled at Shadow before flying off to pour a glass for a friend.
You need not get me a drink. I had no intentions of staying long, Shadow responded, but Percival waved him off.
I fear that it's not your choice. As and when this gathering ends. Percival interrupted before putting her glass down and putting her hands on the table with a quiet calmness. As much as I want to wish you congratulations, I also must question your intentions on joining the Royal Guard.
Shadow's eyes widened slightly in mild surprise, looking between Percival and Gawain, only to see the Echidna grunted in agreement. He should have expected it, really, but a small part of his pride hurt that he still wasn't trusted just because of his lineage.
You wooed me with your words, Shadow said back calmly.
It is not because of your title nor your name, Percival reassured as she waved him off. I merely wish to question why you joined the Knights. You joined the Royal Guards when your opinions of the prince have been less than favorable.
Ah, so that was it. While I may not speak fondly of the prince, my loyalty to my country is absolute. That I assure. I would not allow an isolated emotion to affect my judgment for the benefit of the kingdom, Shadow responded back with firm conviction in his eyes.
Rouge placed it. Well, Rouge placed a glass down in front of him with a smile. With my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ!
Rouge placed a glass down in front of him with a smile before flying off. Yeah, me reading?
You're reading Sonic fanfiction. There is no Christ here. Christ is far away.
Oh my Lord.
It's Jesus Christ.
A rich red wine with a fruity scent stayed in her place.
Wine.
Why?
We'll see how that loyalty fares. We'll see how that loyalty fares on your first assignment. Gawain narrowed his eyes at him.
Okay, so Gawain still doubted his character. That he could earn. What was another approval to add to his already impressive pile? I got a hiccup
Shadow
at the
rose
same
an
time.
eyebrow. Oh. You're good. Shadow rose an eyebrow at his words, meaning,
Don't spoil it. Percival cut Gwaine off before he could speak further, her eyes shining with amusement. Allow him to enjoy his evening.
While his curiosity grew, Shadow didn't question further, opting to take a sip of his drink as he let the flavor rest on his tongue. He hummed in approval before swallowing. Rouge had, Rogue? Is it Rogue or Rouge? I keep saying Rouge.
Rouge.
Rouge? Yeah.
Rouge, like Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
'Cause she
Rouge, Rouge had left him a good wine indeed.
Regardless, a toast, Percival rose her own wine glass, encouraging Gwaine to follow suit. To Sir Lancelot, the fourth knight of the Round Table.
Shadow could appreciate her wanting to offer an olive branch, politely raising his glass in turn while Gawain begrudgingly joined in. It was a gentle clink of glasses and cups. No bells or whistles, no fancy parade, just a silent celebration, proverbial pat on the back. Shadow preferred it. The trio remained for a few moments, going over the basics of what tomorrow would entail and what Shadow was expected to do as he was officially accepted into the Royal Guards, as well as where to gather in the morning. Before Percival began to stand, her glass empty on the table.
I do hate to cut this short when there is so much I wish to discuss, but my lady has been without us for much longer than I am comfortable with. Percival began as Gawain began to stand as well. We shall bid you good night for now. I look forward to seeing you be welcomed by the Queen.
Is this Wolf?
Oh yeah. Make sure you turn in soon too. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, Gawain said back as he glanced at Shadow, who only nodded in agreement.
I shall. Rouge will have my head if I do not speak with her further for tonight. Is that supposed to be me?
Yeah.
Okay. I shall. Rouge will have my head if I do not speak with her further for tonight, but I will be retiring soon.
Gawain grunted back, but that seemed as far as approval went for him. You be careful too. There's been a lot of reports of crime around here recently. He called over to Rouge.
I'm a big girl. I've been taking care of this place longer than you've been a royal knight. Thank you for worrying about me, though, sweet. Rouge called back with a small laugh, earning an embarrassed flush from Gawain.
The echidna was was quick to storm out. A very amused Percival followed behind.
You really need to be more blunt with the boy, Shadow mused as he took another drink.
Half the fun is the chase. Rouge hummed back playfully, Shadow's ear flicking behind him on instinct as she heard her wings flap closer to him. It's not much different to how you and Blue play. She settled down on the ground next to him and smirked. I'm sure he'll be thrilled at this news of yours as well.
Shadow stiffened at that name. Oh, Blue. The mysterious traveling merchant who had made it his mission to aggravate Shadow by any means possible, as often as possible. Shadow couldn't deny the resemblance was striking, and he had asked Blue about it before, but the merchant had insisted on being just that, a merchant. Any other questions Shadow asked him were often evaded or ignored completely, assuring him that his life was not that exciting. He liked his privacy. He could respect that. What he couldn't respect was how aggravating Blue was.
The day I hold affection for Blue is the day the last other living person on Earth perishes, Shadow said back bluntly, finishing off his glass of wine. Besides, why should I want a vagrant to know my business?
To think I mean so little to you. Do you know a guy, huh? The voice. It was unmistakable.
Blue! Rouge cheered in excitement and quickly got up to run over to him and pull him into a hug. I was wondering where you were. You're unusually late.
Blue laughed and easily returned the hug. Blue cloak swaying as he swapped his arms around her. I got a little sidetracked on the road called life. He beamed back, green eyes shining under the mysterious black mask. He always sort. Don't do that, because now I want to laugh. This is serious, guys.
This is serious business. Some serious fanfiction reading.
God. Anyways.
Cereal.
Shadow rolled
We're
his eyes,
professional
finishing off
fanfiction.
his glass, and standing. Well, I best head off.
Already? I just got here. Allow me a drink at least. Blue said back quickly with a pout. Oh, I didn't sound pouty, sorry.
Not necessary. Shadow declined, but Rouge was already off to open the remaining wine to fill 2 glasses.
Nonsense. I'll pay. Blue smiled and easily slid into the seat Percival had sat not long before. Come on, I want to know the good news too. Finally got promoted, Chads.
Sir Lancelot now, Rouge corrected as she walked over to place the glass of wine down in front of them. He's being appointed to the Royal Guard as part of the Round Table.
Shadow could have sworn he was a frown tug at Blue's expression. I didn't write it. It's peculiar.
I don't know what that meant.
I think it was supposed to say swore he saw a frown tug at Blue's expression. Wow. Royal Guard, huh? Wow. Blue let out a whistle. Fancy little title. You're going to be working for the Queen then.
And the Crown Prince, Shadow nodded. I'll finally be able to fight against him in training.
Blue visibly perked up. Oh, so you're finally going to be able to fight him? I'm jealous. Does this mean I need a curtsy around you now? Wait, that's for ladies. Do I bow instead? He teased with a widening grin. Widening, sorry.
You'd be no bigger a fool than you are now, should you curtsy. Shadow smirked back at him in amusement.
You wound me, dear sir. He held his chest in mock hurt, his peach fur standing out against the blue of the cape and the white of his plain tunic. Blue was a strange color for a merchant, but Shadow thought he wore it well. Something about standing out in his wares was the explanation, but Shadow wasn't sure how much he bought it. It was an expensive color to own, especially not for a merchant's salary. Yet Blue never seemed tight for money. Anyway, Blue interrupted, he thought, by raising the wine glass. Stop. Please stop. With a bright smile, to Sir Lancelot, the Royal Knight of Altea. Shadow started back at him for indulging him in the toast, considering he'd paid for the wine and it was worth drinking, no other reason whatsoever. Blue hit the glass with more force Percival and Gawain combined, the cups making a loud clink across their side of the tavern.
Break it, you buy it. Cruz called back in warning, earning a giggle from Blue.
We'll be careful. I'll pay if it does break, Blue called back with an easygoing smile. Shadow caught himself staring and opted to take a drink and enjoy the small buzz he had forming in the back of his head. He might have been a heavy drinker, but this was strong wine. Even he felt a little after a second glass. I guess this is the last time you'll be here for a while then, Blue, and said back for taking a sip of his own wine. So I'm trying hard not to laugh, guys. I'm sorry.
You're doing great.
You're doing good. I assume so. My duties will be vastly different from now on.
Same here, Blue responded with a small high, earning a raised eyebrow from Shadow.
Oh, okay.
Whoa. Small sigh, sorry. I have a lot of responsibilities starting soon. I won't be returning to the tavern for a few months at least.
You have responsibility? Shadow tormented him back with a teasing look, making Blue pout at him.
Would it be that surprising if I was a well-traveled and educated individual?
Immensely. Shadow
You're a
responded
jerk.
without missing a beat.
Oh, you're a jerk. Blue laughed back at him, letting out a hum, and suddenly downed his drink in one. But I'll have you know, I am full of surprises.
Oh? Shadow said back simply, feigning disinterest.
One such surprise is... Blue suddenly stood up and grabbed Shadow's hand, pulling him up further in into the tavern where the band was playing. I'm an excellent dancer.
What are you doing? Shadow hissed back, trying to pull away from Blue's vice-like grip. There was no use, however. He was quickly being dragged onto the dance floor.
Come on, Shads. It's our last night of freedom. Let's dance.
I don't dance, he denied back harshly.
Nonsense, Blue laughed back, still holding his hands as he began to spin in time with the music. Come on, one dance, he begged softly, eyes shining in the light. Shadow couldn't say no. He let out a deep sigh before slowly softening his stance, allowing Blue to move between his hands as he brought him in. Then push him away, his hands swapping over when Blue changed directions. You're good, Blue complimented as he let Shadow take over a dance, once he'd gotten more confident in the rhythm. Do you attend balls often? Balls on these.
On occasion. On occasion, often with my sister when she is well enough to attend.
Maria, right? Blue looked up with a smile. Shadow simply nodded in response before pulling Blue closer and gently placing a hand on his waist subconsciously. He'd spoken of his sister once or twice before around Blue, but it was still impressive he remembered. I'd love to meet her one day, Blue laughed. I feel like she'd be wonderful to get along with.
You don't know the half of it, Shadow mumbled as he thought about a hypothetical meeting of Blue with Maria. He had no doubt they'd get along like a house fire, but Shadow didn't know what it would do for his already thin patience.
Shadow had mentioned Blue once in passing to Maria, and since then, she'd wanted to know everything. Such fantasies of romance were often her forte, and wanting to pair her stoic brother off had become her favorite pastime of hers. Being frail herself, she was not offered many suitors undeterred by her weak constitution. She was such a kind and wonderful woman, and yet fate had denied her the fairy tale story she had desperately wished for. Maybe Shadow's was soft, but he allowed her to hypothesize Blue's affections for Shadow, although the ebony hedgehog never outwardly honored her many questions. Shadow snapped out of his thoughts when he noticed Blue stare up at him silently. There wasn't much of a height difference, maybe a few inches, if that, but now it felt so much more noticeable. The other male was so much more lithe in his hold. Is that the right? What is
Lithe.
lithe? Lithe?
Live.
Got it.
Lithe.
Got it. Got
Lithe.
it. I'm really gonna miss this. Blue mumbled, leaning closer to his hold for a moment, his voice strained.
Blue? Shadow asked back softly, only to blink in surprise as he noticed something shining underneath his mask. Are you crying?
Blue flinched before laughing awkwardly and quickly wiping his eyes as best as he could through the mask. It's nothing, don't worry about it. He shook his head, forcing another wide smile into his face that made Shadow's stomach twist in concern.
Are you in danger? Shadow asked him back quietly.
Blue was quick to shake his head again. I'm really happy for you, Blue said back, this time offering Shadow a genuine smile, but to put his unease at rest. Though there was still something nagging at the back of his mind, something Blue wasn't telling him.
I know you don't share a lot about yourself, but you've pestered me nonstop for the last few years. I owe at least a second of time for you in return.
Blue laughed back in return, his eyes bright as he shook his head in amusement. A lifetime of bothering you amounts to a second. How kind, he teased before letting out a sigh, one he didn't even know he had been holding. Shadow, would you hate me if I lied to you? Shadow rose at an eyebrow at him. Sorry, that's a you line. I didn't highlight that.
Oh, that would depend on the lie, he said back carefully.
If I had to, for example, even though I didn't want to?
I'm not sure I'm following what you're getting at. Shadow narrowed his eyes as the pair began to pick up the pace of the dance, music swelling as the pair circled and danced around one another, as if they were the only two in the room.
Even a few regulars were staring at the display. Just, I beg of you, please don't hate me should you find out a lie I've kept hidden, Blue begged.
Is this where you tell me you're a spy from another country? Shadow asked back with an accusatory glare.
No, nothing like that, just... Blue sighed and shook his head. Whatever happens tomorrow, I'm sorry, alright?
What do you... Shadow was cut off by the music ending. Shadow, in the middle of dipping Blue to the ground low enough that he could see those gorgeous emerald eyes stare back at him.
Lance. Lance, Blue said back softly, his chest heaving slightly from the intensity of the dance. Shadow's own breaths come in labored as well, the dance demanding more than he had originally thought. He'd found he'd been captivated by another sight, however, Blue reaching up to him and cupping his cheeks with his gloved hand. Time seemed to stop when suddenly Blue leaned forward to press a chaste kiss to his cheek. The action stunned Shadow, looking back to Blue and slowly letting him go. Thank you for humoring me, Blue said back to him gently, quickly turning and rushing out of the tavern before Shadow could question it further.
Wow, Blue made the first move. Damn, I should have made a betting pool. Rouge hummed in amusement as she walked over to the still stunned Shadow, holding out his remaining glass of wine previously abandoned on the table.
Shadow took the drink in his hand, touching the cheek Blue had kissed with his other. The glass began to crack as Shadow's grip tightened, shattering it as the remaining wine spilled to the floor. I'm gonna fucking kill him!
I
He
totally
seethed.
read that differently.
Oh! My glass! Rouge glared at him in disapproval before calling over a maid to bring in a sweep and a mop for the mess.
I'll pay for it, Shadow growled in annoyance. That vagrant just kissed me!
On the cheek, hun. It's not that big of a deal. Rouge rolled her eyes and took the mop from the maid and began to sweep it up. Shadow tried to help, but Rouge quickly batted his hand away. Blue left the generous tip, so no need. I was going to replace these glasses soon anyway. Although, I wish you hadn't wasted the wine.
Shadow was beginning to regret that too. I should not be letting a lady deal with glass, he tried to argue, but Rouge laughed at him.
And risk you getting shards in your paws a day before becoming a royal knight? Dream on, Buster. Shadow rolled his eyes at her. What do you think that was about, though? Rouge asked curiously. First time I've seen Blue act that impulsive in a while.
Shadow let out a deep sigh and shook his head. Who could say? That boy is a bag of mysteries. Shadow sighed in defeat, insisting on waiting for the mess to be cleared up before he was allowed to leave for the night. Take care tonight, Rouge.
I always do. Rouge smiled back at him gently. Get home safe, too.
Shadow let out a snort, but secretly appreciated it, silently slipping out and returning to his family home for the final time. It should be like the more you know sound for next day. Tomorrow he would be in the palace permanently and closer to the royal family. As long as Maria's medication was paid by his salary, he didn't care. She deserved a comfortable life, if not the one she desperately wanted. Although he knew he wouldn't just be Maria disappointed, there would no longer be any more Blue stories to tell for a while. Was that him saying goodbye before? The sorrow face he held had called to a very deep part of Shadow, the one that wanted to see his smile in his face one more time. He needed somewhere to direct these emotions. All of this frustration and bittersweet farewells the night before his inauguration had not been how envisioned this long-awaited day.
Curse that Blue. He's worse than the prince, Shadow growled as he hissed at the chill breeze against his armor. He prayed he'd be allowed to fight the prince tomorrow.
An hour after Shadow left, Sir Galahad burst through the tavern door, run ragged with deep bags under his
Calm
eyes.
down. That's a me line.
No, it's not, because my line comes next.
Okay, fair. Go for it.
Lady Rouge, have you seen the prince? He asked desperately as he rushed up to the bar.
This is so good. Okay. He left about 2 hours ago, Rouge replied, not even turning back as she poured another drink at the bar for her patron. I'd assume he's already gone back to the castle. Silver let out. Oop. No, you do it. You read the blind text on this one.
Silver let out an exasperated groan, slamming his head against the bar in exhaustion.
So how long did he run off for this time?
Since morning, Galahad groused, idly tracing a knot in the wood with his index finger.
Rouge let out an impressive press whistle. Queen won't be happy about that.
He's like an eel! Galahad argued back. Percival says leave him be, but he's the prince. Surely we should heed the prophecy with more reverence, he asked in frustration.
Rouge chuckled before turning back to him fully, deciding to change the topic ever so slightly. He was dancing with his new knight earlier.
Sir Lancelot? Galahad lifted his head in mild surprise.
He was here celebrating the promotion with Lord Percival and Sir Gawain.
Without me? Galahad whined and hid his face in the bar again. I knew he's getting left out. I haven't even met the guy yet.
I feel like your days at the castle are becoming very interesting soon, Lord Galahad. Ruth smiled at him in amusement.
Galahad paused before looking back up at her. How so?
Well, Rouge before turning to him. My brain stopped for a moment. I was like, what? Rouge before turning to him with a glint in her eyes. Today was your last day of prince guarding duty, right? Correct? I wonder who will be next.
Far away.
Shadow felt
hold on. Far away. Shadow felt a shiver run down his spine.
Wait, and then can Heather read it? Wait,
Yeah. No, go ahead.
What? You want me to read that?
The last line, yeah.
All right. Fire away. Shadow felt a shiver run down his spine.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Jesus. Jesus.
So good.
You got like 2 or 3 chili dogs. I mean, not 2 or 3. I know how many's on my plate. I got 2.
Okay, so we're back.
It's-
We're back, hello?
We're back. Hi. I had to make sure everyone knew that he was eating chili dogs. Just like Dublest, who's also eating
just
chili
like
dogs.
Everyone's
Totally
eating chili
eating
dogs.
chili dogs.
Why are these so
Everyone's
crunchy?
eating. Do you put chips in your chili dogs, like little nacho chips?
Onions on your chili
Or
dog.
like Fritos. Some people put Fritos on their chili dogs.
No,
That's
that's the chili that's
true.
on the bottom of the bottom of the
It's the
pot.
onions.
But the crunchy part?
Yeah, out of the pan.
How did you know? That's my favorite part of
Oh,
the chili.
It's a Puerto Rican thing. I like that with rice.
Oh, that makes sense.
Good 2 or 3 chili dogs. I mean, I definitely have 2 chili dogs.
I'm looking at them right now. There's 2 of them. Or is it 3?
It's
That's
4.
good.
Can I eat one already?
Oh, that was funny. You made me laugh.
Funny,
I
haha,
laughed so- Yeah, my tummy hurts. My tummy hurts. It was so funny.
Okay. Get it done.
Oh, wait.
She
I
gets
found the other chili dog.
All right, we're back, and this is chapter 2 of the. I forgot what it was called. Forgot the title of the. I forgot the Prince's Night by Luna Misaki. I want to say Mizaki, but it's not. It's Misaki, I think. Pretty sure. 100%.
How's it spelled?
Totally.
Misa key. Key.
Misaki?
It's like
Wait, key?
Misa. Like
Oh.
M-O-U-S-E.
Key.
My
Like-
baloney has a first name. It's
Misaki.
Alicia.
You might be right.
Yeah, Misaki.
You probably
My
are right.
baloney has
Yeah.
a second name. It's M-E-Y-E-R.
The little like crack at the end.
DNA.
Oh my god. All right, are we ready?
There was a wiener derby this year. Sorry.
A wiener derby?
With
Yeah,
weenie
sorry.
dogs.
With because they have wiener mobiles, like
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer wiener mobiles. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a derby on Memorial Day. Apparently,
That makes sense.
first annual.
When you said derby, I don't know why I thought monster trucks. Just watching weenies smack each other in a dirt pile.
That's
That
a
would've been
different
almost
game.
as hilarious. It was just imagine a bunch of like weenie cars, like going around a NASCAR track at like 16 miles per hour.
Yo, guys, this chili tastes like dirt. I say
I was
dirt.
gonna
It
say
tastes like
ass.
floor. Tastes like floor. I used like a Silverado version of the normal chili that I would normally get if I was to get canned chili. It's less fat and it tastes like
Silverado?
floor. I don't know. Silverado just means less fat in, I guess, this one.
Interesting.
I don't want to talk about brand it is because it's my brand, not your brand. It's my brand. I don't need anyone else enjoying my brand.
My brand.
My brand.
Okay. Is it time to start now?
Chapter 2.
Are you sure you have everything? Books, ink, your swords?
I'm fine, Maria. Shadow smiled back in amusement as he finished fixing his armor in the mirror before nodding at himself in approval. This is the official meeting of the royal family. The queen is sending servants to help move the remainder of my things this eve.
I'm so excited! Maria smiled back at him brightly before shifting as she looked at Shadow. You get to meet the prince again. I wonder how he's grown since last time.
Like a weed, no doubt, Shadow returned, hesitating when he noticed Maria's clear disapproval on her face. He shouldn't have said that. Maria had always been fond of the royal family since she was small. When Shadow had told her about his meeting with the prince all those years ago, she'd held the opinion that Shadow should have been honored.
That boy knew your talents when he was merely a child. Maria scolded him with a firm frown. You might act like you don't care, but I know your game, Shadow Robotnik. You're thrilled to finally be seeing him again.
If you say, Shadow sighed back in defeat, closing his eyes as he tried to feign disinterest.
Maria really didn't know his game, though. Rolling her eyes at her stubborn brother before bending down, Shadow felt something be affixed to one of his armored quills. Opening his eyes and staring back at Maria questioningly, Maria simply gestured to the mirror instead. She affixed a small bouquet of lavender and sunflower pin atop of his right quill in between the armor plates. It was small and purely sentimental, but Shadow knew it had been a symbol of allegiance to the kingdom. The lavender flower as the symbol of the Robotnik house, and sunflowers the symbol of the royal family.
A good luck charm. Maria smiled back at him with a warm expression.
Shadow reached up to touch it lightly. You made this? He asked, his voice gentle as he smiled at the pin.
I thought it might help you, Maria said back before bending down to sit gently on the floor beside Shadow. I know you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, and not all of it has been easy for you to reach the expectations others ask of. But you did it. Maria pulled him into a hug and let out a small hum. I'm so proud of you, Shadow. I want to show you just how much.
Shadow was stunned at the sincerity, blinking for a moment before he gently returned the hug. Maria, I'm honored to be a Robotnik, he said back sincerely, especially if I'm related to one such as you.
You're so sappy. Maria laughed back at him. Sorry, I forgot to laugh. But the tears she tried to wipe away.
Sorry,
Feelings.
I thought that was funny. You're cute. Okay, go ahead.
She was genuinely thrilled for her brother. I'll wear it for the entire ceremony, Shadow promised with a gentle nod. I vow as a knight of the Royal Guard.
Maria let out another chuckle, inclining her head. I'm glad you like it.
Wolf.
Other.
Wolf. Wolf.
Other.
Wolf.
Other.
Wolf.
Shadow, you ready to go?
I thought you were gonna go deeper with
I
it.
love the old man.
The way you cleared your voice, I thought you're gonna go really deep with it, and then all of a sudden, Shadow, you ready to go? Yep. Good. Solid. Oh man, I think I accidentally deleted something here.
Don't make it up. Don't make
This is the number 9.
Do you see that?
9.
Oh, so where it says 9, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be text. And I accidentally hit 9.
All good.
Well, we're not even there yet, so crap.
Yeah.
Right before that.
The pair both turned to the door, revealing an apprehensive-looking Gerald glancing to the front entrance. His hands were wrought against his arms, lips pressed to a thin line, and his mustache looked a little more frazzled than usual.
I am. Shadow nodded in response, taking a moment to help Maria to her feet before returning to Gerald's side of the door. If I leave now, I should be perfectly early for my audience.
Missing text. Gerald nodded, straightening his posture before quickly leaving.
Man, I want to find out where that text is now, though.
Oh wait, that wasn't the line. 9.
It's fine. 9.
Hold on.
Oh my god, Gerald turned German.
9.
Oh, hold on. You're supposed to say, "Good, don't keep the royals waiting on your first official day." let me fix that. Let me fix
Good,
that.
don't
so
keep
you-
them. Oh.
Let's fix it in post.
Good.
Make it.
Don't keep the royals waiting on your first official day. Gerald nodded, straightening his posture before quickly leaving.
Shadow could understand his behavior. This had been a big thing for them, for all of them. The idea of the royals finally accepting the Robotnik household back into the nobility ranks had been a arduous task, which Shadow did not make easier with his lack of tact. Being without the court's favor had left them not much in terms of financial aid, and being part of the royal guard was not just for their status, but for Maria's welfare too. Gerald's research on a cure couldn't continue without funding after all.
All right, as soon as I am able, Shadow said back to Maria gently.
Leave no details spared, Maria grinned back.
Shadow rolled his eyes, but a smile remained in his muzzle. On his muzzle as he straightened himself and began to leave, descending the stairs to notice he had an escort.
A silver hedgehog with golden eyes and silver armor beamed back at him brightly, raising a hand to wave him over. Sir Lancelot! He called him over to his side.
Sir Galahad, I presume? Shadow obeyed his request and approached the other hedgehog.
Oh, you know of me.
He sounded surprised, earning a bewildered expression from Shadow. He was one of the 4 royal knights, youngest appointed no less. Why wouldn't he?
I was worried about meeting you this morning, but perhaps I had nothing to fear.
Shadow decided quickly that this was by far the strangest of the trio.
Anyway, congratulations!
Galahad continued before walking along the street with a bounce in his step.
I've heard a lot about you. Your skills at chaos are supposedly unparalleled.
Shadow merely let out a small hum in response, watching as the villagers gathered around the noise of Silver practically skipping through the street. Seeing the royal guards out in town together was mostly unheard of after all, but once they noticed Shadow beside Galahad instead of Percival or Gawain, the whispers started.
I had to change my picture, sorry.
No.
Heard, heard today he's entering the round table.
What?
They're actually trusting him. He is skilled! Better to have him on our side rather than the enemy's side.
Shadow sighed, but didn't let it bother him. He knew the damage his cousin Ivo had caused. To know he was still on the loose somewhere really didn't aid their trustworthiness.
Lord Galahad, Shadow snapped out of his thoughts by a little rabbit girl with long ears and a simple dress running up to them with a happy smile. I didn't know you were here. What a nice surprise.
That was not Shadow's line.
It wasn't? Then why is it cut in my color?
It is
That
Shadow.
was definitely... Nope, that was supposed to be...
Lord-
That was supposed to be Cream.
No,
What?
mine's
No,
green.
it's
No,
no.
but if you read it in context, that's supposed to be Cream.
Just snapped
think-
out of
I
his
think
thoughts by a... Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
you're
was
right.
thinking, and then a
You're
little
right.
girl runs up to them.
Oh, I
and
think
says-
he got
It's a little weird.
that
I'm
he
like,
said
this
that.
sounds like-
That makes sense. Here, let me fix that in post now.
Rewind.
It would have been
I was
really
I was
weird
trying to look at
if
it, yeah.
Shadow had been like, I didn't know you were here, even though you came to pick me up.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I
that's
thought
the thing
I
about
thought
Head.
I thought he was talking about. I thought he was talking to Cream, you know. But like further down the line, I can kind of see no, they don't know each other. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can try it again, though.
run it back.
Lord Galahad! Shadow snapped out of his thoughts by a little rabbit girl with long ears and a simple dress running up to them with a happy smile. I didn't know you were here. What a nice surprise!
Miss Cream!
Galahad returned before smiling and bending down to greet her.
I can say the same to you!
What are you doing? She asked back curiously. I thought you were watching Prince Sonic this week. Her head tilted to the side as she spoke.
Galahad laughed awkwardly before shaking his head.
My duties with His Majesty finished last night. Instead, I've been asked to bring Sir Lancelot to the castle for his inauguration.
Cream let out an excited squeal. How fun! You get to see the castle then, Mr. Sir Lancelot.
Shadow hesitated, not used to children speaking to him without a hint of apprehension. Even he knew he was intimidating, yet the small rabbit was speaking to him as if he were another child she wished to make friends with.
I do, he he said back with a small nod.
And you're gonna meet the queen and the prince?
She asked back curiously.
Drink water, you dehydrated
am.
bitch!
Sorry. Cream
Is it
bounced on her heels in excitement before suddenly running up to him and holding out some slightly wilted wildflowers up to the pair.
I was gonna give
What?
I was gonna give these to my mommy. But she will understand if I share them.
Galahad reacted before Shadow could. Oh, Miss Cream, how thoughtful of you! He gently took the flowers on behalf of both knights, sensing Shadow's hesitation. Are you sure your mother won't mind? I don't wish to steal her very important gifts.
My mommy says you must always be polite and kind to everyone. And to always make sure people know how nice they are too.
She smiled back.
Mr. Sir Lancelot, thank you for protecting us.
Shadow was stunned, not used to such outward praise from another or anyone other than Maria. His mind froze, paralyzed as to what to say.
It is an honor to serve Altea, he said back quietly after a moment, inclining his head as he politely bowed to the young lady.
Cream giggled back happily before offering him a curtsy in return. She slowly rose, waving her goodbyes to the two knights, and quickly skipped off into the street, most likely returning to her mother.
She would never see her mother again.
She hops. She doesn't. I mean, yeah, that works. Good job. Good job, Wolf.
If I had any doubts before, they're quelled now.
Galahad smiled fondly as he straightened himself, turning to Silver and admiring the knight.
If Miss Cream likes you, then you have my faith as well.
Silver moved to put the flowers through his quill, humming as the townspeople expression warmed.
Galahad was a beloved knight to the people. For being so young, he was a beacon of hope to them and his whimsy enchanted young and old alike.
I'm guessing that you frequent these streets often, Shadow asked, trying to ignore the warm feeling crossing his cheeks at the other hedgehog's genuine sincerity.
Prince's favorite running ground.
Galahad sighed.
Ah, explain. Oh, I think that should be... Go ahead, Dubless, that's you.
Explains it. Shadow felt Silver lean forward, another object placed in his quills. What?
I think that's Heather. She's muted. She doesn't know she's muted, but she's muted.
What?
I don't know. Heather's muted. I saw her talking. I didn't hear her talking, though.
Final gamer, we can't hear
Fucker.
you.
Sorry, my mic.
Fucker? You motherfucker.
Motherfucker. Sorry, my mic has a button on the top. I must have accidentally pressed it.
No.
Alright, I'll start over. Galahad smiled before giving him a small hum.
These are gifted to both of us.
He gestured to the remaining flowers in his hands, most of them already running through Galahad's silver quills. The blue really stood out against his white fur, and Shadow had to wonder if he had seen another Mobian? What the fuck is a Mobian?
I
I don't know, with such a pale coat.
That's what they are. Like the
like
creatures that they are.
hedgehogs. The hedgehog types? Yeah. Because Silver's a hedgehog.
Like there's like no animals that can walk like they can and stuff, and like it's like the planet they live on.
Oh, it's an anthropomorphic
yeah.
animal character in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe. And it's also a mobile operating system based off of Linux.
Got it. Shadow allowed Galahad to give him a flower, but just because he couldn't refuse gifts from a child in front of the public. No other reason whatsoever.
We should make haste. I would be remiss to be late for the queen. If he didn't hurry, he'd end up becoming a pack horse at this rate.
Oh, of course.
Galahad let out a sharp gasp and quickly hastened his steps.
Apologies. We should make sure you're not late on your first day.
And chapter 2.
A good chapter. Off to chapter 3. I'd do a break, but that was really short, actually. I didn't realize how short that was. Unless you guys really want the break.
No, I'm gonna keep going.
Chapter
Yeah, okay.
3.
I gotta change
Chapter
my picture.
3. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. We ready? Gucci fams?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Hold up.
He has to.
Relax.
He has to
I'm
put
no
on his
longer a
guard
whisperer.
character.
Yeah.
He's
He's
a
gotta
guard.
change costumes in the wings.
Got it. Okay. Good.
Yeah. They arrived at the castle just in time. The guards stationed at the gate staring at them with a raised brow.
Galahad lost a fight with a flower field. One
Galahad
asked in
laughed.
amusement.
Sorry.
What?
Nothing.
Oh,
Got ahead. She got ahead.
Yeah.
you're good.
Galahad laughed in response and shook his head.
Apologies, the people wish to speak with us for a moment.
The guard nodded before turning to Shadow, his eyebrow raising further when he saw a similar flower in his quills.
Unconventional for an inauguration, but Galahad certainly was worse. He said back in mild amusement. I can't wait to see how you fare.
Shadow stared back at him oddly, 1,000 questions resting on his tongue. Before he could speak them, Galahad interrupted.
Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad.
Galahad huffed.
Just because I got so nervous I passed out, hitting myself with my own powers.
The guard threw his head back in laughter at the recollection. Gawan had told us in great detail.
The nosy, no good.
Silver mumbled under his breath before sighing and shaking his head. There's no point getting annoyed about it again. He always knew he'd be teased for being the youngest in the ranks. They still held some kind of respect for him, deep down.
No matter, I cannot deny it happened.
Galahad admitted with a small, embarrassed smile.
I am only confused as to why the queen would still take me to her elites if I'm still clumsy in powers I'm supposed to excel in.
The challenge is tough. Even the queen knows this. To last as long as you did was a feat in itself. The guard said back with a warm expression. Even our best have things to improve on.
The way you speak of your inauguration makes me assume I expected to duel, correct? Shadow interrupted with a slightly raised brow.
Sorry, I had to write something in chat.
Oh no, I was supposed to keep that secret.
Silver gasped before turning to Shadow with wide eyes.
How did you find out?
The guard mentioned a challenge, and considering you were permitted to use your abilities, it was the only logical explanation. Shadow tilted his head slightly, silently judging Galahad for being more of a scatterbrain than he initially thought he was. You don't get sent to recon missions often, do you? Galahad outwardly flinched at that, and Shadow internally winced again. He hadn't meant any malice in his words, but his reaction had clearly hit a nerve in him. My apologies. That was rude of me. He quickly bowed his head, hoping to convey he meant no insult to his title.
No, you're not incorrect.
Galahad admitted before sighing and nodding his head.
You're really perceptive, Lancelot. That could be useful.
For the duel? He glanced back at him, cautious to fully raise his head if Galahad hadn't fully accepted his apology.
Nice try. I still didn't give it completely away.
He grinned back before laughing.
Come on, the gate's open already.
He took Shadow's arm and rushed towards the castle, the ebony hedgehog letting out a small growl at being so casually grabbed, but didn't protest finally heading inside.
Good luck, kid, the guard called after him. You're gonna need it.
Inside the castle was beyond lavish. Fine tapestries hung along the lengths of the spacious halls. Rich red carpets were laid throughout the rooms, and multiple pieces hung up depicting the gorgeous landscapes of Altea. Shadow had to admire the decor as Galahad led him into the throne room at the center of the castle, surrounded by impressive statues of the wind god. Shadow did not care to remember much of the lore, but from what he could remember, it was something about personification of the wind protecting the kingdom thousands of years ago. Kazan, the eternal storm.
My honored queen, Galahad announced as the door slowly opened, blinding Shadow for a moment as the sun shone into the golden room. Sir Lancelot of House Robotnik. He had thankfully let go of him at this point, but he still could have warned Shadow about the introduction.
Shadow quickly bowed in time with Galahad, remaining behind him a touch to remember his position as the newest member.
My, oh my god. My, Sir Galahad, you look lovely. Queen Elena turned to them, Lord Percival and Sir Gawain standing either side of her. Where have you been for such a decoration?
A young girl gifted them to us. Galahad raised himself from his position and smiled back at her.
Us? Lena mused before turning to Shadow, smiling as she noticed he still had not raised his head. Sir Lancelot, you honor me with your presence, she smiled at him. Please, raise your head. You need not be so formal in my court.
You honor me, your majesty. I am unworthy of such praise, Shadow said back before slowly raising his head.
Alina was a beautiful lady with a soft purple fur and long, dark indigo hair. Her eyes were a deep onyx that shone amongst the light of the room. Her long white dress, decorated with gold trim, swayed slightly as she turned to them, smiling as she admired her beloved knights.
I hadn't expected you to be so self-effacing.
Effacing.
Effacing. Thank you.
Effacing these
Self-effacing.
nuts.
Damn!
All right,
She
sorry.
smiled.
I'm
She
blaming
smiled
There's
with
a ring
a laugh.
sound. Ba-ding!
Her crown shining. Oh my god. Her crown shining in the rays of the sun at the movement. Are you worried about showing your character for the sake of your house? I promise you, I do not mind your decorum within these walls. Heaven knows I cannot force it out of my son. I cannot expect my knights not to speak their honesty here.
Shadow looked back at her in shock. All of his time preparing for this moment, he had not expected this.
My liege, you cannot be serious. Gawain frowned at her.
He may be a Robotnik, but none I have encountered so far would wear a symbol of our family next to theirs so proudly. Alina smiled back at Shadow knowingly.
Shadow reached up to Maria's charm in instinct, eyeing the queen with a newfound caution. There was something about this that felt strange. He glanced to Galahad and noticed how the knight had been quick to stand and take a few steps back, allowing the queen to speak more exclusively to Shadow.
It already started, huh? My sister, I promised her I would wear it, Shadow clarified. My apologies. It was not intended to imply we were equals.
You're worried, Queen Alina realized in shock. The court stressed you this much about your family?
Shadow pressed his mouth to a thin line, wary to misspeak now that he knew the queen was trying to find his weakness. Such emotion is unbefitting a knight, my liege. I hold no qualms with the court about my heritage. It is reserved for the traitor Ivo.
Alina gave a worried look to Percival, whom returned to the look with a nod before gesturing to Gawain beside her. Gawain snarled at the mere mention of Ivo, his gaze hardening as he glanced away. Ivo Robotnik had been the bane of Altea for over a decade, with many crimes against his name too numerous to count. Everyone had grievances with him in some capacity, especially the Echidna clan. In a way, bringing Shadow into the round table had been a bit of an insult to him.
I see, Alina sighed. Perhaps you'll be more comfortable when you settle in. Shadow inclined his head. Shadow inclined his head, moving to take off the charm Maria had placed on him. Leave it, she said, back to him with gentle softness in her eyes. Shadow could have sworn he'd seen it before. Your sister gifted it to you, did she not? A lucky charm shall not work if you do not wear it.
Shadow trailed off, at a loss at the reaction of the queen. He'd assumed she would despise him as much as the court somehow. The lack of warmth from Percival and Gawain's reception, he perceived Galahad's welcome as the outlier. Perhaps the queen was being genuine as well.
I'm not that scary, am I? She laughed softly at Shadow, smiling over at Silver. Sir Galahad, whatever stories were you telling him on your walk here?
Galahad blushed in embarrassment, glancing down at his feet. He maybe figured out that there was to be a duel, he admitted.
Galahad? Percival turned to him with a frown for making the younger boy French. I send you out to meet him after missing out last night, and you spoil it.
I didn't mean to!
Queen Alina let out another laugh and shook her head. Oh, how my nights are amusing. She held her stomach for a moment as her shoulders shook slightly, trying to hold in her laughter.
The four knights were all staring at her in silence, watching in confusion.
Alina smiled before letting out a breath and straightening again. Calm yourself, Lord Percival. I do not mind if Sir Galahad spoke of it. He would find out eventually, she mused before glancing to Shadow. Although, Sir Lancelot, you seem to be very sharp. You held an assumption from the beginning, did you not?
Shadow glanced to her before inclining his head. Yes. Though I had earned my title in the eyes of council, I felt the opinions of the monarchs may differ. It was reasonable to assume you would wish to test my abilities in exchange for your trust as your guard.
Smart boy, Alina smiled back at him. Though, had you an idea of whom your opponent was?
That I was not certain. Shadow inclined his head. Perhaps the other knights?
Reasonable assumption, Alina conceded with a smile. But actually, you'll be fighting my son.
Shadow's eyes widened. His body felt like like lead for a moment. Sorry. You're right. That's you. Good job.
Is this
Yeah.
Peter?
Yeah.
Is this even
It's all you. It's all you.
Now? So soon? But he hadn't prepared his words. This wasn't how he envisioned it to go. The Crown Prince? Shadow asked back carefully. Before meeting him first?
Normally we would. But Sonic personally requested you meeting Crossing Sword, Alina sighed, before shaking her head. Needless to say, he holds you in high regard.
Wanted to make a show of it. More... What? Wanted to make a show of it more like the arrogant knave. Shadow thought in annoyance, although a small part of him buried deep inside was at least pleased by that information. Even if Sonic didn't recognize him, word of his prowess had reached his ears. He felt a smirk of satisfaction to that knowledge.
Are you prepared to test your skills to see if you can protect us? Alina turned to him, a glint in her eyes. Because take heed. All three of the warriors in this room with us now cannot beat Sonic alone. If you cannot last beyond 5 minutes, you will not remain here. She gestured to Percival, Gawain, and Galahad individually before returning to Shadow. This is not an easy ask.
Shadow turned to the others, noticing the grim expression they all wore. Just what was so special about the prince that made him wear such faces?
On my blood and honor, I shall strive to succeed, Shadow bowed solemnly.
Wonderful. Let's start then.
The room went pitch dark. Shadow's eyes taken a minute to adjust to the lack of light in the room and smiling slightly. A fight in the dark, huh? Oh, that wasn't. That should have been Dublast. He drew his sword slowly, ears listening out for this. Boy. Ears listening out for the slightest hint of sound. His ear flicked to the left, and Shadow quickly turned, brandishing his sword as it clashed against metal.
You're quick, Shadow mumbled with a small grin, pushing the blade back as his eyes followed the silhouette around its figure. It was hard to keep track of someone in the dark as it was, but the speed the male possessed was unlike anything he'd ever seen. It was all he could do to keep on the defensive for a bit until he found a hole in the culprit's attack.
He's playing with him. Guan frowned, listening to the sounds of metal clashing together. I had assumed with him requesting a fight in the dark, he was going to be more ruthless.
He is, Percival interrupted. He might have Lance on the defensive, but he's predicting Sonic's moves. Percival watched the figure who could only assume to be the prince, as he was starting to be met by Shadow faster than he would attack. He can see him and keep up with his constant onslaught. He's even correctly guessing where he's going to attack next. She added, before her ears perked in surprise when the golden orbs started to float into the air, illuminating the once dark throne room with a soft light.
In the spare time Shadow had managed to predict Sonic's attack, he had managed to use his chaos ability to generate a small ball of energy, just enough that the once pitch black room was more visible. Sonic was back out in the open, revealing a lithe young man dressed in a plain white shirt, resting against cobalt blue fur, staring back at him. Jade green eyes stared sharply and focused on his mission. As he met Shadow's eyes, however, there was an unmistakable look of guilt flashing before them.
The grin Shadow sported quickly faded, his eyes looking over the other male in disbelief. Blue?
Sorry, he whispered back, not giving Shadow a moment to recover before he seemed to vanish again.
Shadow glanced around the room, frantic thoughts running through his mind. What are you doing here? He hissed back, eyes narrowed as he narrowly dodged another attack from the other male. Is this what you were talking about last night at the tavern?
His confusion was quickly turning to anger, rounding on Sonic and actually making the first attack for a change. He swung his sword upwards, making Sonic hesitate for a moment. The brash movement coming from otherwise poised Lancelot, Shadow took the opportunity to grab the front of Sonic's scruff and yank him forward.
He changed his rhythm when Sonic got used to it, Percival mumbled in amusement, while Gawain seemed more bothered by the fact that Shadow had so boldly grasped the prince in the first place. Silver was merely watching in awe with the queen. Maybe he really is a match for him.
Almost talked over you. You conniving no good sneak, Shadow snarled over at him, his sword raising and eyes flashing.
Hey, Neo. Hi, Neo. Neo. Hey, Stormer. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Go ahead. Start over.
No need. It's your turn.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of that because Neo's fucking sound came up and just destroyed all audio.
It's right after my line.
I know, but I was hoping you could just reread it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I can read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got you. You conniving no good sneak. Shadow snarled over at him, his sword raising and eyes flashing in warning.
Whoa, take it easy, Shads. Sonic said back quickly, pulling his body back and bringing Shadow with him. He threw his back to the floor, curling his legs up to find purchase against Shadow's chest while using the momentum to toss Shadow through the air. Sonic got to his feet and again let out a breath, straightening his stance again while Gawain looked a step away from having a heart attack. The poor knight was not faring well, having to watch the prince fighting someone who actually treated him as an enemy.
Shadow made sure to recover quick, scrambling back to his feet as he let out another snarl. I had no idea you'd grow up to be so morally depraved. I'd imagined this day to finally be a long-awaited triumph. Instead, you make a mockery of me.
I don't know. I promise that's not what this is, Sonic pleaded back before being forced into the defensive while Shadow attacked. Listen, we talk about this way away from the others and not in your initiation fight?
Talk? You think I'll speak with you? Shadow had completely forgotten about his audience apparently. You're dead!
Sonic dodged out of the way of another swing, laughing nervously at the intensity of Shadow's attacks. You're kinda here to protect me, you know, he began before his eyes narrowed slightly. I understand you're mad, I completely get that, but I can explain after I beat you?
You really think you're going to win? Shadow dared smirk back at him, a dangerous glint in his eyes. I've been training day and night to ensure I would leave you humiliated. He snapped before raising a hand as a light energy began to shape a spear. Let's see if you last 5 minutes with me.
Lancelot. Oh, Lancelot, you're going too far. Gohan snapped. Using chaos control so close is dangerous. Your Majesty, you can't allow this.
Alina simply waved her hand at him nonchalantly. Let's see what he'll do, she said back with a smile.
Sonic glanced up at the pair for a moment, hesitation in his eyes before sighing and hardening his gaze. This isn't how I wanted to go either, he mumbled back sourly. But fine, you want to fight? I'll start taking you seriously. Shadow barely blinked before. And then they kissed. Shadow barely blinked before Sonic was right behind him, swinging his sword in time with his momentum to aim for Shadow's exposed side. He barely had a second to twist his body and lowering his sword just in time to block him, forcing him to let go of the Chaos Spear as it fired into the side of the wall and took out an expensive-looking table vase with it.
How did he...
Sonic whistled slightly. You can actually keep up, he mumbled, clearly impressed by Shadow's reaction time.
What are you? Shadow asked back quietly, eyes filled with distrust and accusation.
I told you when we were kids, right? Sonic glared back at him, a small glint in his eyes. I'm the Prince of Altea. Shadow felt an immense strength suddenly push against his sword, making the handle dig into his hand painfully. He winced a bit and bit back a yell before tightening his grip and hardening his own expression.
Brat, I was going to give you my name, but you stole that honor from me too, dear prince. Shadow growled back at him, his strength actually forcing Sonic back now.
And yet, I gifted you another, Sonic returned, flashing bright green eyes as he smirked back. You're grateful. You're ungrateful, Shads.
I'll end your bloodline. Jesus Christ. Shadow snarled back at him. You miserable, foolish, unyielding.
Yeah, get it all out, bud. Sonic interrupted sarcastically before daring to stick his tongue out at him. Shadow snapped, letting out a snarl so vicious it even made Sonic flinch. He lunged towards the prince, and Sonic's eye widened, eyes glowing as the blade grazed the side of his cheek. None of the knights really saw what happened next, even though they had witnessed the entire thing. All they knew was Shadow was now on the floor, helmet thrown off in the scuff with a blade pointed at his throat. Sonic standing over him with a cold expression and a foot firmly pinning Shadow's arm down.
I will send you to Jesus.
His other hand pinned was Sonic's own.
Fucking grip it and rip it, baby! Slop that down, dude! Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
Yield, Sonic said back harshly, digging his foot deeper into his arms. Sorry, the sound effects are just popping off. And digging his foot deeper into his arm to reiterate his advantage. Shadow stared back up at Sonic in a daze, feeling the wind knocked out of his lungs. He hadn't even seen what had happened, but he'd felt for sure the ache in his back from the powerful strike Sonic had landed on him before Shadow even sensed him moving. Such speed wasn't possible. No one such as him should be possible. When Shadow didn't move or speak, Sonic finally let go of his arm. His touch burned in its wake. Sonic withdrew his sword and removed his foot from Shadow's other arm before sending to his full height, remorse clear on his face.
How long was that? Queen Alina's voice weighed heavily in the air, and the realization of where Shadow was and what this duel was even about hit him like a punch to the gut.
Wait, no. No, I can't fail. Not here. Not now.
3 minutes and 47 seconds. Percival spoke back calmly.
I tried to. Shadow turned to see Sonic glance away as sad as his expression. You just...
Seemed frustrated before he let out a breath and forcing a smile. He's still really good. I actually had to dodge out of the way a lot there, he grinned back at Alina, trying to relax all the tension in the room. They were
Sonic,
They were
are you praising a
romance.
man who wished for your demise? Queen Alina rose an eyebrow at her son in surprise. A man who managed to cut you, no less.
Sonic flinched before slowly raising a hand to his cheek, swiping a finger across it in curiosity before wincing when it hurt. He pulled his hand back and stared at the red staining his white gloves. Shadow felt horror pool in his gut at the realization.
I wounded the prince. I didn't mean.
Didn't mean? What nonsense is this? If anything, this proves my reservations about allowing him to join. He hates the prince so much he would go as far as to harm him in a duel. Guan snapped back, a hand reaching for his own weapon. He's an outsider, a mere knave who so happens to be good with a sword. He belongs nowhere near the prince.
A sport.
A sword.
Shadow would have appreciated the compliment if it wasn't for the other harsh words he spoke. All of his work, days and hours training and working, non-stop practice and preparation, shattered like glass. All because of some lousy prince. Shadow knew it was childish to put his fault onto Sonic, but he couldn't help it. These people didn't know the turmoil that so-called prince had put him through. Bro, he probably got blue-balled by the blue guy. To play with his feelings. The hooray I'm useful right after. I wish that was like recorded. To play with his feelings the night before this fight, which the other knew about. Oh, how his heart ached in agony at this moment.
I'm sorry, he whispered the words, entire body trembling as his mind raced over how he would help Maria now. What would he say to Gerald? Would they finally be exiled too? I took it too far. He didn't know if he was speaking out loud or to himself anymore. I never wanted to hurt him.
Was that the truth? He wasn't even sure. He felt angry enough to mean it in the moment, but now the thought of never speaking to Blue, Sonic again, had left an ache in his chest. Sonic had overwhelmed him in the fight, and Shadow had gotten desperate. As much as he hated to admit it, Sonic was good. He tried to the brute force the fight and box Sonic into a corner as he had with any of his other opponents. But Sonic was nothing like anyone he had ever fought before. He finally understood how the knights were not overly worried when he ran off.
That was a shame. I was really enjoying that. Queen Alina sighed before straightening her posture. But pity, you didn't make it.
Shadow looked at the queen and felt his eyes widen. Just like that. Failed. Wait, Sonic said back quickly, holding his hands up. He nicked me, didn't he? He showed the blood off with a prize, his firm with some kind of determination. Not even Percival has managed anything close to it. He only lost because he never fought me before.
Alina looked back at her son in genuine surprise, looking between the boys before turning to Sonic with a frown. My child, he threatened the entire family line as he fought you. You cannot expect me to make an exception for this one, of all others?
He got under my skin, Shadow admitted back as he lowered his head. He reminds me of someone I know. He didn't know why he didn't outwardly rat Sonic out to the Queen, but he already felt she knew something he didn't. The Queen wouldn't have allowed a conversation if not.
Whoever could you hate so much? Alina asked back with a slight hint of curiosity on her face.
A sneaky, underhanded. He caught himself glaring at Sonic for a moment before remembering where he was, sighing and continuing his story. He's a merchant by the name Blue. The man found me once out in town, then decided to follow me everywhere.
Sounds persistent, the Queen nodded.
You're entertaining this? Guan asked, utterly appalled that Shadow wasn't being imprisoned on the spot.
trust Her Majesty. Percival placed a hand to Gawain's shoulder, silently ordering him to stand down.
Period. Oh, anyway, continue.
Period.
Continue.
Sorry. I'm trying to find. We'd met last night and spoke of today. Then we danced. He didn't know why he was telling the queen this, but he found he couldn't stop.
Galahad was remaining silent, glancing over to Sonic and narrowing his eyes at him. Sonic seemed to have shrunk in on his, I was gonna say skunk in on himself, fiddling with his sword handle idly.
I understand now. Queen Alina nodded before turning to Sonic. Her kind eyes immediately hardening. Sonic, do you have anything to say about this matter?
Sounds nice? Sonic tried with a meek smile, looking nothing like the warrior he had mere moments before.
You've been sneaking out again.
No, I haven't.
Tails already told me so. Don't try that with me, Alina snapped. It's bad enough that you go out of the gates, but to drag someone else into it is another matter. She stormed over to him and reached out to pinch his ear.
Ow, Mom! Sonic whined.
You irresponsible child! You'll be the death of me!
Shadow stared at the scene before him in confusion, watching the two argue as if it wasn't currently on the line.
Apologize to Lancelot, she scowled at him. I know how you hold back for the knights. You didn't for him. If you had, he would have passed. I think a certain Blue owes an apology to him too.
Ow, all right, I yield. Sonic quickly yanked his ear free of his mother's hold, cheeks red in embarrassment at being scolded in front of his knights. He let out a breath before looking back at Shadow. His jade green eyes seemed to pierce his very soul. I'm sorry, Sir Lancelot. I did not intend to hurt you. He looked back at him sincerely, and Shadow knew Sonic had wanted to say much more than that. He wanted to talk. Still, after Shadow openly wounded him,
Alina sighed before crossing her arms. This won't do. The test was sabotaged by external factors. I can't in good faith let that be ignored.
oh, hold on.
Oh.
Wait, no, hold on. Give me a
Wait.
second. Give me a second. Oh,
Okay, waiting for
there.
the-
Wait, there. It's
there.
It has to be official first.
Gawain ran up to her in shock and said, "My lady, you're excusing him?"
Sonic watched the test. It was unfair. Alina shook her head in response. But you cannot be an official knight until you complete a different challenge instead.
Was Shadow hearing this right? A second chance?
Yes, the next fight will be much.
I'm not going to have you fight again, Sonic. Alina interrupted. Okay, this is okay. He's going to be your new bodyguard.
I think it's a... Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess this was... Yeah, who cares? There was a collective what screamed into the air by...
What?
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 Okay.
Every other person, including Sonic.
Khaled!
Yay.
Wolf. Wolves. Wolves. Wolves.
Oh, you've gone mad! Gawain snapped at her.
And you let the prince leave the palace, she returned with a cold stare, making all the knights wince. I am kind and gentle to you all, but what is my one rule?
Never let Sonic leave. Galahad spoke up solemnly.
Sorry, I forgot that's the voice.
My knights, I adore and cherish you all. And I know stopping my son is such an impossible ask. But I just want him safe, she said with a tiredness in her voice that spoke as if it was not the first time having this conversation. When his birthday comes, we will be free of the prophecy. That is right. Oh my god.
I can't believe she hit us with the D's
You
nuts.
trained her.
Heather.
You got her.
The subscription laughed and they all do! Jesus.
It's alright.
She tailed off and glanced at Shadow. You will be his guard now.
But mother, this is really not a good. Sonic
You'll
again.
have no say in the matter. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, it's good.
That worked.
Yeah.
She said with a cold tone, if you had just listened to me and stayed inside, we wouldn't have this problem. She crossed her arms before looking between the two. If I find out Sonic left the castle again, Sir Lancelot will be stripped of his title.
Shadow stiffened.
Yeah, you
His
do.
entire family was at risk, just as Sonic would stay in the castle. Mother, you can't.
Sir Lancelot, will you officially join the Round Table as one of the royal guards and take on your duty to be Prince Sonic's personal retainer?
Yeah.
Personal retainer.
What?
Oh,
Okay,
Wait, next line.
Oh,
Shadow felt his rage for the hedgehog only intensified. I'll make sure he never leaves his room.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, he will. Damn. Make sure he can't walk after.
He's
what?
stiffened.
Oh, I read retainer. I thought of teeth.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So did I.
But I know
So did
retainer
I.
is like a thing that like people like lawyers and stuff use for like
Yep.
money.
Yep.
It's a retainer. On retainer.
To be on retainer. Yep.
I just can't think. I just started thinking of Sonic going like, "Hi, Shadow."
Hey yo.
Shadow. Oh God, Cat, why?
Will you wear this dental dam for Sonic?
Yes, you wish.
Oh my god.
That's perfect. Oh my god, this is so beautiful.
Do we want to take one more break before we start this next chapter?
I'm good
We
to go,
actually
but
might
if
be able to
everybody else-
go. We might. Oh my god, I'm gonna laugh if we actually do hit 6.
I don't think we're gonna hit 6. We'll hit 4 for. I think we'll be able to hit 4.
We're at 4
We
right
are
now.
on
We're at 4.
We're at
Yeah, we're on 4 right now. That's what I mean. We'll be able to like finish 4.
Okay. We ready then? We good? We Gucci?
I'm Gucci and the Coochie.
Wait, who am I? Okay, I'm
That's a
pretty
good question.
Costume
good then?
change.
Costume change. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me hit the BR back. Just kidding. Jester came out and pointed at me and basically rubbed in my face that I didn't eat the 2 chili dogs he had put together for me. And I was worried that I didn't have enough chili to put on the chili dogs. He's like, no, it's fine. And like, I had to like double check with him multiple times. I'm like, are you sure this is enough chili? He was annoyed at some point because I just kept asking. I asked him so many times, is this enough chili? He's like, yes. Jesus.
Jesus.
I never have enough chili.
Jesus.
Jesus. That's my new voice. Shadow Eye. My sincerest apologies, Sir Lancelot. I'm very
You know what he would sound like? You sound like Missy from Big Mouth. Does anyone know?
I've
I've
watched
seen
Big Mouth, but I don't
remember
Missy.
who
Big Mouth.
Missy is.
Missy
I do.
is the half Jewish, half black girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one who like
she sounds.
fucks her doll.
Her teddy bear. Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
doll. Yeah.
I remember
or-
that part, but yeah, sure.
That's the part I remember. Boing! It's like a little caterpillar doll, and she like rides it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's how
God.
she discovers her sexuality.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That whole show was crazy.
A Big Mouth ain't for kids, guys.
Nope.
Are we ready?
Neither is the stream.
Yep, let's go. Chapter
Okay,
4.
Things were awkward to say the least. Gawain was sputtering feathers at the declaration. Percival was simply smiling at the pair. Galahad was still looking at Sonic with accusatory expressions. Sonic was simply standing there, eyes downcast on the floor, while his hand holding his sword shook. He knew he couldn't refuse the Queen's order, especially not this.
Someone take Sir Lancelot to his new quarters. I'm sure he will look forward to resting after such a tense battle. Alina spoke.
That seemed to spur Sonic to move quickly rushing to his side and holding his hand out to Shadow. The ebony hedgehog quickly slapped his hand away on instinct, wincing at his actions for a moment when he noticed how Gawain glared at him. Shadow eyes, Sonic began, wincing when Shadow locked his crimson eyes onto him.
I am merely your knight, sire, but you should be using my full title if you have any remaining respect for me. He hissed back at him harshly.
Sonic looked at him with a pleading expression. Looking helpless between him and his other knights, he found no sympathy, however, not even from Gawain. Sonic sighed before his shoulders slumped. He let out a breath before straightening again, wearing that fake smile he'd worn before. Hold on, I lost the voice. Heather, can you do the thing again?
You were okay.
Since my sincerest apologies, Sir Lancelot, he said back lowly, placed his hand on his chest as he bowed his head. I would never humiliate your title. Sorry. He raised his head, grinned before suddenly stretching out his hand, revealing the pin Shadow had received from Maria. Man, no, I keep losing the voice. I need Heather to do it, and then I can do it.
No, you just do
every line.
Do your Sonic.
Yeah.
That's really hard for me to read. You want me to
know,
be
right?
Sonic now?
No. I thought you'd be more happy to see the beloved prince, but just from this. Shadow flushed splayed to the floor, inwardly cursing. When did he grab that? Sure is cute. I think I'll keep it. Sonic grinned back at him before quickly affixing it to his own tunic. Wasn't it unfair that he was so loosely armored in comparison to Shadow?
Return that! Shadow snapped, immediately lunging after him in a haste to retrieve the pin.
Sonic laughed before quickly dodging out of the way, light on his feet as if he was dancing with them, just like they had at the tavern the night before. If you want to get back, you gotta talk to me later. Sonic out before jumping away. Sorry, I couldn't breathe.
I don't think you're gonna be able to maintain that.
Nope. I just laugh too much and then I can't talk because I'm laughing too much. Running towards the entrance and opening the door. This is fun, but I must dash. I gotta meet with Tails. He vanished like a trail of smoke. There you go. Solid.
Nice.
Robot, you can't just say that he's black even though he is.
What?
Oh.
Come back here, you insolent! Shadow growled after him, only to be shocked by a hand landing on his shoulder.
Lancelot, let me take you to your room. Galahad smiled back at him gently. The prince will probably call for you soon. The prince will probably call for you soon enough.
Shadow narrowed his eyes at him, but ultimately relaxed his posture. It was true. He'd get back eventually. Plus, Maria would have been ecstatic to know the prince thought it was cute.
He's still so childish. Percival sighed before shaking her head, glancing back up at the queen. Should I retrieve it?
Alina smiled before shaking her head. Let them sort it out amongst themselves. It's interesting seeing Sonic meet his equal. He's never encountered an actual challenge before.
Gawain took offense to that.
Yeah, I did.
True.
Not in that way, Sir Gawain. Look at the way they act. Shadow fights with no hesitation in his heart. Sonic has never had an opponent like that. In all his practice fights, you would never aim to hurt. Sonic is never pushed to improve, Percival explains.
The knights should not be aiming to hurt the prince, Gawain argued back. Your Majesty, I really must object. That knave will be the cause of Sonic's death.
Enough, she said simply, but there was a warning in her words. In 6 months, Sonic will be 18. We can look at marriage proposals and strengthen kingdom relations. We can finally move forward as a country. If Sir Lancelot arouses so much suspicion to you, then by all means watch over him and make sure he does his duty. She turned to him expectantly.
Gawain bit his lip before looking away. He's proved he's a Robotnik to me, he growled back quietly. Oh wait, he's proved he's a Robotnik to me.
I didn't realize that was growling.
I see. Alina sighed before shaking her head. I hope you change your mind eventually. I'm not just putting faith in him to insult your family.
Gawain, stop. Gawain.
Where are we stopping?
Gawain flinched before inclining his head quietly. Quietly. I'll bear it in mind, he said back, inclining his head to excuse himself and find the prince. Someone still had to watch after him and made sure he tended to that cut.
Alina sighed before turning to Percival. Keep watch over Gawain. His bias may cloud his judgment.
Yes, my liege. Percival bowed solemnly.
Sir Lancelot, the queen finally addressed him again, turning to the hedgehog who had taken the moment to carefully pick up his helmet, place it atop his head again. He bowed in acknowledgement. I know this may sound strange, but my son seems to really care for you. She smiled back at him warmly. It might not be my place to meddle in your affairs, but perhaps hear what he has to say?
Lancelot froze and turned to her fully, looking at her with a curiosity in his eyes.
My son is a brilliant fighter, but he makes brash decisions. Perhaps you can demonstrate patience with him? She noticed how Shadow's reluctance. She noticed Shadow's reluctance. She carried on speaking. He's stubborn, but not unfeeling. He never willingly hurt anyone. Get to know him a bit better. I wouldn't vouch for his behavior if I didn't know his true self.
Shadow looked away as he considered it. After thinking he had Blue figured out all this time, he had surprised him with a secret past. He had suspected he had some baggage. It's just Prince just wasn't in his options. Yet the glimpse of him had been there in the fight. The mockery, that gentle laughter, those eyes. It was all Blue, the man he respected so much, and yet had left him with so many questions. Why did he sneak out so much? Why did he go after Shadow if he knew who he was?
He remembered me.
Shadow let out a breath.
Oh,
all right.
and, it's mine.
Yeah.
And inclined his head. I will hear what he has to say, Lancelot said back gently. I deserve a far worse punishment for wounding the prince.
Alina smiled. He'll be patched up in no time. Be sweet, no, he bleeds.
It's an odd way of putting it.
Come, let me show you to your new room. Galahad smiled back at Shadow gently, gesturing for him to follow, leaving Gawain, Percival, and the Queen alone. The fight was incredible! Galahad beamed at Lancelot brightly as they walked through the halls. You actually could keep up with him! How did you manage that?
Shadow looked back to him awkwardly. Are you not going to judge me for hurting the prince? He asked with a tilt of the head.
Absolutely not! Galahad shook his head quickly. In my opinion, he deserved it.
Shadow looked at him oddly.
Silver paused before glancing around and then slowly leaning forward. I know about the blue persona. I didn't know he was bothering others while incognito though. I'm sorry you got caught up in his trouble.
Shadow felt his lips press into a thin line. You helped him sneak out?
No, not at all. Silver shook his head fervently. He used to not even wear a disguise. Silver sighed. He's really reckless, and I worry about the future sometimes. So I made a deal with Lady Rouge to let him visit if he stayed out of trouble.
Shadow went quiet again.
Rouge knows?
Silver was about to answer before he noticed seething rage seep out of Shadow's very pores. The white bat knew who Blue was and never told him. Oh, he was going to have a conversation with her about this later.
You're getting a little misty there. You got some rage seeping out of your face.
The amount of time she teased Shadow about liking Blue, she was meaning the prince. Now it just felt cruel that he had gotten his hopes up at being something more. Wait, more? He shook his head. More? He shook his head before clearing his thoughts. What had he been hoping for?
It's no matter, Lancelot finally spoke. I promised the queen I would hear him out. Whether or not he has anything worth saying will be the real question.
He's barely tongue-tied. Galahad dared joke back with him before smiling as they finally made it to his quarters. This'll be your ring. Sonic's room is just the one across. Although you'll probably be spending longer in his than your own.
Shadow looked back in confusion.
Night duty.
Oh boy.
There's no K. Night duty is unlike Bow Chicka Wow Wow, guys. You're just not getting the innuendo in chat.
No, like
Galahad provided. He also likes to run out late a lot too. He sighed as he recalled his own memories of watching the prince. I'm looking forward to finally sleeping tonight, cause you won't.
Shadow let out a small before slowly walking to his room. It wasn't overly lavish, but it was certainly bigger than his one back home, with a large bed, a writing desk with a window overlooking what seemed to be one of the gardens, and a wardrobe filled with an impressive array of clothes.
Your duties will mostly lie with watching Sonic round the clock, as per Queen's orders, Galahad continued before smiling at him. I'll tell you all about his schedule, although soon we'll be having some more etiquette lessons in preparation for his debut.
Debut? Shadow asked back curiously.
Galahad dared let out a small laugh. You're not well versed in the royal court at all, are you? He dared grin back at him, making the ebony... What? Why? Ebony hedgehog?
Yeah, I don't know.
Slightly. When Sonic turns 18, the queen wants to start looking at marriage candidates. To announce that to the other nobles, they debut their respective children with a massive ball centered around showcasing their talents.
So, he'll be paraded around like a show pony? He hadn't meant to sound accusatory, but something about the idea had irked him.
It's not my fondest idea either, Galahad admitted, which is why he gets so resistant to it. He sighed before turning around. But he is a prince. This is part of that burden.
Shadow held his tongue. He knew what Galahad said was true. They all had a duty to follow. If anything, it was deplorable that Sonic refused to do so as well. He followed his own whims, free as the wind, running through the verdant fields of Altea itself. Shadow envied it.
Right now, Sonic is for sure with Tails. That's Sonic's best friend. He's a smart kid working in the armory with the blacksmith, but he's also helped with inventions in the past. Galahad walked over to the window and gently opened it to let the fresh breeze roll through. Later, he'll have his history class, then fencing practice, then literature, and then...
He's very busy for a prince, Shadow said back in surprise. He'd assumed the prince was more lackadaisy than that.
He likes to be active. Unfortunately, he gets bored very easily, so we have to split up his lessons.
What was he, 5? He didn't just study in one go.
Don't worry, if you don't get him to go to all of them, he's extremely stubborn, Galahad sighed.
If he wants to go have a nap, he will. You know, like a 30-minute nap. You know, like a toddler, give it a little juicy and stuff.
We'll see about that. Shadow mumbled back with a scowl. Like how he'd let the prince slack off when he was going to be king.
Unstoppable force, an immovable object. Galahad mused to himself. Percival was right about you. These 6 months are gonna be interesting indeed.
Lancelot noticed a few off the couch, Otis. Off the couch.
There are so many
Off the
Otis on the couch.
Sorry. he just hopped over like the back like a crazy ass dog.
That's crazy.
Man, I didn't know he could jump that high. That's crazy. I blocked it off.
Well, he is. Nope.
What?
Nope.
Hold on, I'm like,
there's a
I'm
little
getting weird audio from.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think my internet's being weird.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's like weird, staticky, and like blippy.
Okay, let me redo. Hold on.
Don't know.
I think Heather might disappear for a second.
Oh no, just
why
her head
me?
got a little chopped because of the way my setup is done. What happens is like the video gets reset.
Is it any better or?
Yeah.
It sounds fine to me. I haven't noticed anything.
Yeah, it's better.
No, it's
Crazy.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
Okay, good.
My bad.
No, man, you're good. It's my bad for not providing better internet to you, Southerners. Anyway, where were we?
What?
Unstoppable force. Did we read that one? Lancelot? Yep. Memory?
That's you.
No. Yeah. Illustration. He slowly picked up a book and leafed through it, slightly admiring the illustrations of the occasional page. He's read this book with Maria when they were kids, the fantasy kind that made him want to strive to be a knight in the first place. She must have packed it for the memory's sake.
The Star Knight? Galahad asked curiously as he glanced over Shadow's shoulder to look at the book. I knew that one too! He beamed at him brightly.
You do? Shadow rose an eyebrow at him curiously. I was told the story wasn't well known.
Galahad laughed. It's not, but Prince Sonic found it was quite fond of it, he mused back. He made all us royal knights read it, even Sir Gawain.
Shadow frowned at that, feeling the book grow heavy in his hand. He reads? He mumbled back sourly.
Galahad hummed lightly before turning away. He's very surprising. He does read. Don't assume you know him just because he's easygoing. I made that mistake and I'm still reeling at how wrong I was.
Shadow said nothing back in response, eyeing his book with a newfound scrutiny. The Star Knight was a tale about a star in the sky wishing to protect the king, so badly desiring so that it crashed down to earth in a mortal body. After the king discovers there a star, however, he begs for the star to return to the sky with him, so that they could be together forever. That crude prince loved a story so heartbreaking? Nah, surely he just liked the illustrations.
Well, I'll let you relax, Galahad smiled back at Lancelot before bowing his head slightly. I'm sure the prince will be asking for you later on. Maybe you should ask him for a tour of the castle fully. A full tour.
Shadow made a face at that. Sorry, I was just laughing at it. Continue.
Oh, you're not? Galahad laughed back. Take care, Lancelot. You officially start tomorrow. He smiled before inclining his head and walking away. He didn't need to tell Shadow all the details after all.
You'll find out
Wink, wink.
later. Yo, hit us with that nice little sound of like chimes. Yeah, good enough. Tails, we seriously have a problem. Yeah, that one. That one's good. I like that one. Sonic burst through the door, the workshop with a frantic expression.
How's the new knight? Oh my god, you're bleeding! Tails turned to him and immediately freaked out as he saw the cut on his cheek. What happened?
Not important, Sonic waved him off before walking past him and opting to pace around the room. I'm doomed. How is he going to talk to me now? He whined, pouting like a child.
Okay, what's going on? Tails asked back curiously, setting down his tools and quickly rushing to his side and grabbing his shoulder. You've never been like this after an initiation fight. What's so different about this one?
Sonic glanced over at Tails before sighing and putting a hand through his quills as he thought about it. You know how I was telling you about that guy? Tails froze before letting go of his arm. Sonic frowned and opted to sit down on Tails' workbench before crossing his arms with a thoughtful expression. You know, I know you told my mother, he spoke again after a moment, making the fox freeze up. I'm not mad at you, but I get it. He let out a breath before crossing his arms. I wanted to go see it before the dubbing, a ceremony of the new knight I was getting. I didn't realize he was going to be the knight, he mumbled back with a sulk. I tried to explain, but I think he thought I was trying to make fun of him.
Tails looked back to the cut on his cheek before frowning. Did he do that?
Sonic pressed a hand at his cheek and let out a small hiss. Deserved it, honestly. He threatened to end my bloodline.
Did he do it? Did he pass? Tails asked back curiously.
Lost at 3 minutes 47.
Ah, a shame then. Tails felt bad to know he was relieved by that. Still, you must feel bad not seeing him again.
Sonic looked at him confusion. Looked at him in confusion, forgetting he had not been there for it. Oh no, he's my new bodyguard, he said back matter-of-factly.
But he lost, Tails asked back in bewilderment.
He got emotional, Sonic shook his head. He's good, Tails, like, really good. He predicted my moves even when I kicked up a gear.
He kept up with you? Tails frowned at the information. I've never heard of another Mobian being able to do that before.
I know. Why do you think I was so happy to know Shads was so strong? He's incredible.
And also hates you, apparently. Tails gestured to the mark once more. Never known a knight to hurt their prince. Is the queen really okay with this?
It's on her order, Sonic sighed. If I get caught leaving the castle, he gets stripped of his title.
Oh, so that's her angle, Tails mumbled back thoughtfully, but was still internally concerned at the idea in the first place. He moved to slowly grab a clean rag and wet it with some fresh water, then returned to Sonic and carefully began dabbing at the wound.
Ow! Sonic flinched. At first in surprise, before laughing and gently leaning back into the rag when Tails pulled away. It's alright. Just being dramatic. He gave Tails a warm expression, letting him resume his little nursing attempts. In all honesty, being hurt had actually shaken him up. Never before had he fought someone who was so ferocious. Yet, another part of him shivered in excitement at the thought of finally being able to test his limits. Shadow could keep up with him.
I'm not worried, Sonic. I'm not sure you should try and sneak out anymore if your personal guard won't hesitate to stop you, Tails said back softly.
He's a motherfucking robot.
Bro! No!
There it is! Gawain is black!
You're playing into the racism, stop it!
This is what the people want.
This is what the people want. I am the people!
The pair both turned a very unimpressed Gawain leaning against the doorway of the workshop.
That's yourself.
Oh, I skipped that and was like waiting for Wolf to be like, I pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
What? Sonic asked as he hissed under his breath, speaking hurt his cheek.
Damn fool, you don't remember? Gawain
Damn
snapped as he stormed over to the pair. The war? When Evo fought the country in, does that say Evo?
Ivo.
Is it Ivo?
I think it's Ivo.
Oh, when Ivo fought the country and tried to enslave us all?
Man, you don't fuck with the war?
I love that clip.
Oh, Sonic nodded back slowly, already preparing for the perfect sarcastic remark. You mean when I was a kid and didn't know my powers and blanked out a lot? He rose an eyebrow back at him. Besides, last I remember, Eggman was a human. Shads isn't exactly human.
Knuckles growled back at him in annoyance. You remember meeting that guy as a child and not the war?
You fuck with the war. I can't.
Do you fuck with the war?
I did not control what I do and do not remember about being a kid, Sonic argued back.
I feel like we're getting off topic here. Tails tried to calm the situation down with an awkward smile. How is, Lancelot, is it? How is he related to Eggman?
The motherfucker robotic. Okay, Gawain frowned and turned to Tails. Because Eggman's real name was, Ivo?
Ivo.
Because Eggman's real name was Ivo Robotnik. He crossed his arms and frowned. After the war, the Robotnik house was largely shunned due to the suspicions they'd assisted Ivo. To save face, the head of the Robotnik house adopted a kid. Problem is, the kid they adopted was a Mobian with no paperwork.
Shit, no paperwork? Sonic paused in surprise before sitting upright properly.
Do you fuck with Nova?
Stop.
No.
What's this got to do with Shadow, though? He asked back with a frown. Even if he is Robotnik, so what?
Gawain looked at him with a fury in his eyes. Proof of his danger is upon your very cheeks. Cheek. He snapped back at him, pointing an accusatory finger to Sonic.
You don't know him. Oh wait, I skipped. Sonic scowled deep in as he suddenly stood up, a dangerous aura running over him. You don't know him, he warns lowly.
And I shan't need to. He's an outsider. He'll never belong in the Knights Round Table. He's a mongrel of dubious birth.
Don't speak about him like that. You have no right, Sonic snapped back, advancing on Gawain, while poor Tails tried to calm them down.
You've gone mad to show favor to one who'd hurt you, Gawain growled back at him. You're soft-hearted. The reason you did not kill Ivo back then is the reason you can't be outside the gates as you so desperately wish for now. And yet, look at you. One again chained by a motherfucking Robotnik.
Sonic let out a low snarl, and his eyes glowed a dangerous shine. His fur was beginning to spark blue and flecks of yellow gold. Tails quickly backed up in shock, staring at the form in between horror and wonder. Gawain stood frozen, suddenly very aware of the presence in front of him. He felt his blood run cold and a chill run up his spine. Nothing shall chain me. Sonic seemed to breathe the words out before stepping forward and grabbing Gawain's shoulder, his grip like a vice.
Ouchie. Forgive me, I misspoke. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you fuck with Ouchie? Gawain said back, his voice softer as he realized this was not the smartest time to disagree.
Sonic stared at him quietly, his eyes flickering between red and green as he processed the information. Then the light was gone, as if he had never been there. Sonic let go of Gawain and smiled at him softly. Sorry, Nux. Got a bit heated there. I understand why you're worried. Really, I do. It's just... It's a lot more complicated than you think. Gawain stared back at him. I wanna fuck! Gawain stared back at him in confusion before turning to Tails. The fox had been looking at looking at Sonic with a thoughtful expression.
Wrong.
But when he noticed Gawain turn his attention to him, he quickly fluffed out his fur and cleared his throat. Then he looked away as if the walls had suddenly become interesting. So Sonic started to speak when he realized Tails was not helping him out with this one. What would you say if, for example, I may not have totally been seeing him on the regular when I snuck out, not realizing he was gonna be my knight?
Paused, staring at him in his eyes. Staring at him as his eyes went wide as saucers. You've...
Hypothetically? Sonic tried with a weak smile.
Oh, you're a bastard. Knuckles said back to him bluntly, I'd want to kill you.
So, you kind of get it now?
I still haven't forgiven him, Sonic. That's not... He trailed off and let out a sigh. I pray you may never know my pain of losing family. But you're my prince. Someone I care about is currently near someone I consider dangerous.
Sonic sighed gently before nodding his head. I understand, and I'm going to be careful, really, I am, but he's not Ivo. He looked back at Gawain with a firmness in his expression. I shall not take kindly to you accusing him of such. Accusating him. Gawain was about to speak again, but Tails was quick to shake his head at him. He held his tongue. If the fox told you not to do something, you didn't. He was a smart one. Maybe try and get to know him a bit? Sonic tried and smiled with a small smile. You haven't hung out a lot, have you?
He let out a small grunt in response. I'll try to, just to make sure he really isn't dangerous, he conceded.
Yay, my boy's with my boy. That line makes no sense. He cheered, earning a baffled expression from Gawain and a roll of Tails' eyes.
He still hates you. Long way to go before you can say.
Say, buddy, how's about actually patching up this cut? Sonic interrupted Tails before he could finish speaking. Sonic wasn't ready to admit to Gawain, but the Crushy already rejected Shadow being around him. Baby steps. Now he just had to talk to Shadow and explain himself properly. How hard could that be? Yeah, look at that.
End chapter 4.
We hit 5. That's where we're at.
Yay.
We still have an hour.
Yippee.
I need a short break first.
Oh, wait. No, we
I
started
said-
at 6.
Yeah, 6:30.
Okay.
But I said 3 hours. We're only gonna do 3 hours of this because I thought reading would be a lot. So we're actually done. If
For
there's
now.
more,
For now.
congrats
That one's
to you guys. You get more. If there's not more, sucks to suck. I'm sorry. Sucks to suck, and I'm sorry. But I'll try and see if we can plan another one for the rest of these. Ooh, suck. For the rest of these chapters. Yeah.
For the
rest of these suck.
These suck.
Sucks to suck. Thank you guys.
You guys are gonna have to subscribe to Crit's channel if you want to see us do this again.
Jesus.
And if you have Amazon Prime, you can actually
Yeah,
do it
if
for
you have
free.
Amazon Prime, you can do it for free on Danny Bezos' money.
Yeah, use Danny Bezos' money. He's really rich. So you make sure you get those emotes, guys. Make sure to sub at twitch.tv/gratitia.com. Wait.
Gratitia?
You know, you're right. Do it just like Dan at twitch.tv/.com/.
Yeah, that's what I was doing, but I was like, wait, I want to actually do it. Twitch.com//HTML hockey.
Better than a lullaby.
Again,
was great. That was great.
Thank you to the guys who let me use their voices for characters. Again, that's Mel as Rouge, Cream, and Queen Alina. Heather as Tails and Silver/Galahad.
Glad to be here, guys.
And Dublest as Shadow/Lancelot. And in the future,
Piss on it.
Amy Rose. Oh. And Bleeding Rain as Maria, as well as Blazin/Percival. Percival? Yeah.
Percival.
Yeah,
Percival.
that's the word. And our boy here, the BBW himself, Just Wolf Gamer, as the guards and others. And I guess Knuckles.
Can't stand them Robotniks.
Jesus. I was hoping to avoid the racism. The racism. We'll see you guys. I'll be here Monday, but not doing this. See you guys there. Yeah. What were you saying,
What are
Ray?
you doing Monday?
Monday? I don't know.
Is it racism if it's just that family?
Like classism? I don't know.
I think it's more like a nameisms.
It's a grudge.
Your last name is this. Heck you.
Family grudge.
It's like saying, you guys don't know Jester's last name, but it's definitely a thing that you'd be like, nah, man, that's racist.
I don't think it's racist, and I've heard it.
Racist? Sound like fucking Mickey Mouse.
I'm not
This is
doxing
why
him.
Mickey Mouse, boys. Oh my god,
that's crazy!
Oh my god, that was good. That was good.
Oh,
I was so on
used
point.
Miss Piggy voice.
For who?
Kissy, kissy.
For
Stop it now, stop
who?
it now.
Silver? Yo, you're right.